fuck's wrong with people?
Let's start the show.
Crazy fuckers.
Let's go home. Let's just get this over with.
It's ruined.
5 seconds in. Thanks, Orange. You big bag of.
This is a warning to all living mortals. That who shall ever open this chest of demons will release 13 of the most terrifying ghosts upon the face of the earth. Okay, cut it. This isn't going to work. Let's try some nostalgia bait.
It's mighty strange. You looking at the lazy rain. I can't settle in bed. Or have you picked your target yet? It's ended. Got your dog bite. It's ended.
Okay, that was better. But let's try something a bit more cinematic.
You about to witness hip-hop in its most purest, most rawest form, flow, almost flawless, most hardest, most honest, known artist. Chip off the old block, but old Doc is back. Looks like Batman brought his own Robin. Oh God, Saddam's got his own Laden. Off the hinges, oranges, peach, pears, plums, oranges. Yeah, here I come, my inches away from you, there fear none. Hip-hop is in a state of 911, so let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around, what is this? Must be a circus in town, let's shut the shit down on these clowns. Can I get a witness? Hell yeah! Let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around, what is this? Must be a circus in town, let's shut the shit down on these clowns. Can I get a witness?
Yeah, that's the shit I like. Let's start the Barroom podcast. Take it away, Jacob.
Yes, this
Barroom
is the Barroom
podcast forever.
Yes, this is the Barroom cinematic universe here that we did today. Well, joining
To
us,
Jacob, King of Wakanda.
Who the hell is that in the background?
Somebody's got their TV on.
John.
Oh, shit, is my fucking
It is not me.
Oh, it's Orange. Son of you no good mother effing bleeping. How are you guys doing here, everyone here tonight? We are here live. It is episode 120 of the Barroom podcast, and Orange is single-handedly destroying the entire fabric of this show right off the gate before we even get started. But let me go ahead and just introduce the other two people who have far more professionalism than Orange had. Let's start with our good buddy, John. John, how you doing tonight? You're back with us. How's it going?
I'm doing good. It finally stopped raining in Florida, and there's no more hurricanes for now. And actually, I have internet, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good. 'Cause, yeah, you guys down in Florida have been battered over the last couple of weeks. So, fortunately, you're in Jacksonville, so you didn't get like the worst of it. But I mean, you still got hit pretty hard, though.
Yeah.
We pretty much put you in like the Sarah category in this show, where you basically just show up like once in a while. But we haven't put you in the intro yet, so I mean, we got that going for us too. So, also joining us here tonight is our good buddy, the AI Banger King, Cider. How's it going tonight, Cider?
Still alive.
Sometimes that's all you need, right?
Yep.
All right, then. So now we're gonna take to this. Okay, now we're gonna take to this and then see if we're Orange Chat. How you doing over there, buddy?
I'm doing good, and if you do hear, I have the background cancellation on, so there's nothing more I can do besides what I just did. So I do apologize for that.
Wow, he has like a whole John Mellencamp concert just coming through, and that noise cancellation
America's
is
Got
just
Talent or some
yeah.
shit.
We're watching it too. But
I'm sorry, I do apologize.
No, it's okay. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a
Okay.
joke.
Well, we're just giving you a little crap and kicking you when you're down, and that's all it is. It's just
You know how
giving
it
the fun.
goes.
That's right.
I do
Well, we're here live here tonight on YouTube, and we're live on Rumble as well. I see Keith over on our Rumble side saying hey to everyone. Hey, the Keith over there. We got Neozoic here saying hello, all you spooky barroom crew and goose and ghouls and ghosts and goblins and blah 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 blah. Am I the only one who really doesn't care that much about Halloween? Like, and after for me, it was like once I became old enough to like not go door to door and get candy without getting like accosted or pepper sprayed. It's like, okay, this sucks now. Like, I don't care about Halloween. Like, when I'm gonna go to Party City and like buy a costume I'm gonna wear once and all for a Snickers bar and then go home and then eat a pillowcase full of candy by myself.
I mean, there's not a lot of negatives there, you know, I'm just saying. But the other end of that is that when you do this stuff for children, however, like a trunk or treat or some type of haunted house that's open to the public, it's actually a much more engaging experience than just being a kid running around in a costume. It is my family put it on for several years, and so that's why we get excited about Halloween, but it's nothing to do with the actual dressing up. And
here's what we're going to do this year for Halloween. For the kids, I'm going to set up a Claymore in my front yard. So when they walk to my house, bang! Oh, Skittles. There's a whole bunch of Skittles right to the face. It's going to be great. It's going to be hilarious. The parents are going to love it. It's going to be one of the best things ever.
Make sure you put a sign out in front that says mask zone, like mask only zone. And it's like the face mask with the COVID mask, though. So they don't understand.
Exactly. Except for it's literally just to protect your teeth when the blast zone like hits your face. It's like, you know. It's a little
just
bit
tell them that you got COVID in the house. They'll skip your house. But basically, I miss the 90s version of Trick or Treat because this trunk or treat shit, it sucks. I'm sorry. It doesn't teach kids the safety of the buddy system. You know? It doesn't.
And then you always got that one guy who has to do something. You always got that one guy who has to do something extra on trunk or treat. It's like, who got 9mm bullets? So it's time to teach gun safety to children. It's like, oh God, here we go.
Oh, you guys are lucky.
Safety course is for.
We have guys that show up. We had a guy show up with a severed deer head, and he wanted to do that with a werewolf mask and just push the mask, wear the mask, and like ram the mask into the severed deer head neck stub. And I was like, "There's children. Good. It's broad daylight, by the way. This is like 4 in the afternoon, man, and you're gonna." Nah, it's all right. We're just gonna do.
You
cornhole.
probably need
That's
to
what we're
be
gonna
institutionalized. I think we're gonna go ahead and make that call right now.
We call that woods queer up here. You don't go sticking your dick in the trees. You just start becoming more forest than man, I guess. It's what we call it's woods queer up here.
Why does Maine just sound like a non-fictional state in the United States of America?
Sound like a non-fictional or sound like a fictional state?
No, like a non-fictional.
I'm a little confused. Does it sound just weird to you? Is that it? It's just a weird place? Is that what we're trying to get at? Because it is. I'm on a different planet, dude. It's that simple.
Fair enough. Neil has a question for us. It says, which film based on a novel would you rather watch, Rosemary's Baby or The Shining? I love The Shining because Stephen King hates The Shining, and that's why I love it.
Shining.
So that's why I'm picking The Shining.
I've never seen either of them, so...
The whole reason why Dr. Sleep exists is because Stephen King hates The Shining and he hates Stanley Kubrick's movie. So he wanted a movie that was basically the same storyline, but in his vision, and it sucked. So there you go.
Yep. And that's why you should listen to the main taxi driver stories here on YouTube because I wrote them, not Stephen King. You're welcome. Just go search them. It's like 100,000 view videos. You're fine. Whichever one you pick.
Bonus question here. He says, which vampire is scarier, Count Dracula or Count Auriok on the ferry on the first
Wait. You said
Go
Count Dracula.
Yeah.
You missed the D on Drac. You said Count Dracula.
I thought I said Count Dracula.
Yeah, well, your D came out as a J, and it sounded more about a D than a J.
Dude,
I thought it
or D,
sounded
whatever.
Thoughts, Jacob.
Problem is, I read too fast, and I read
We're-
words before I actually see them.
We're talking about porn memes, and then here we are, Count Dracula.
Oh my god!
Spanktober. There we go.
Mhm.
Spanktober and Count Dracula.
Everyone's getting herpes this month, baby. We're back.
Yeah, trigger herpes.
Yep.
Count Dracula is not scary, so I'm gonna go with the other one.
Fair enough. I guess no one's gonna pick Booberry, and no one's a Booberry fan.
Well,
I like the
Gary
Nosferatu one or Nosferatu one. Yeah, Norse. Oops.
Gary Oldman's portrayal of the Dracula character is one of the most unsettling of them because he's just a dude for most of it. And that bothers me to this day because there's always a part of me that's like, maybe vampires are like 70% real. You know, maybe they're not all the way turning into bats and being immortal, but maybe there's some folks out there that do drink blood and they get kind of predatory about it. So I worry every now and then when I see a well-dressed man in a top hat, I think to myself, you're Dracula, aren't you? You're a vampire.
Well, just make sure that, well, if his glasses are those tiny little glasses that are like purple shaded, it's definitely Dracula. Run your fucking ass off, man.
Well,
It's
go
always
ahead.
the glasses.
It's the one giveaway.
Look out for the Dracula glasses.
Who else do we have here? Leslie Tarkin's here joining us today, saying hail to all you lovely people. I think she's going to pick Dracula being scarier. The black and white style of movies always seem a bit scarier at times. I mean, it's probably better when you have limited effects. You know, take what you get there. Vanya is also joining us here today, saying, "What up, folks?" Who else do we got in here today? Got Orange Chat in the chat with you guys as well. John's going to be in the chat with you guys. Doba Fett is here listening to us tonight. BMG listening to us here tonight. Brianna Rad is here. Well, BMG said he just moved to Florida. Yeah, he picked the perfect time of the year to make that trip, to make that decision. Who else we have here? DK says that all the big Halloween parties are on November the 2nd. Yeah, that makes total sense too as well. Maurice Johnson joining us here says, if I want candy, I go to the store, but I buy candy. I stop caring about Halloween after middle school. Yeah, like I said, once you get old enough that you can just go to the store and buy your own candy, it's like all the lure and the fun is like out of it. Plus, you have to like take chances with like going to like a neighbor's house, and I don't know. 2024 is weird. I don't think you want to be going to everybody's houses anymore. Like, there's a lot of good stuff going on, and bad stuff going on there. Leslie says that the Grinch that stole Halloween.
You'll definitely, if you keep doing that these days, you'll definitely meet Count Dracula.
Mm-hmm. Imagine just
Sounds
opening
like
it.
a porno at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. BMG says the federal judge in Missouri recently blocked state law requiring registered sex offenders to put up a sign that says "No candy" on their front doors during Halloween. I wonder why. I wonder why someone would do that. I wonder why. Marie says, "Isn't Maine where most of the Stephen King novels take place?" Yes, like basically all of them take place in Maine.
Regrettably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Stephen King might actually be onto something there. He also says that King's low tax bill, thanks to Florida, is no more real than Maine, and King begging for taxes to go up there. It's like, don't you have like those weird libertarian people in Maine, or is that more New Hampshire than Maine?
More New Hampshire. Maine's just your average hard-boiled rednecks that, the liberals run things because they concentrate their power in the cities.
Yeah, we're gonna start a whole meme with that one. It says Boobberry. Yeah, who's gonna be Boobberry this year? I mean, I'm pretty sure all the OnlyFans girls are doing like cosplays of like Marvel superhero characters for this month, charging a discount. So it's like, yeah, you'll get abundance of smut for the next few weeks. That'll be great. What else we got here? After the COVID and the riots, every Arizona house has a door camera. It's probably for the best. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Look, I'm not ecstatic about the idea of essentially giving Google and like Amazon like complete frontal access to your house so that they can see what's going on in front of your home at all time. But I also understand the necessity on a certain level if people are just crazy and you never know what you're actually gonna find on those things anyway. So it's kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to the whole doorbell cameras. By the way, there's this quick little sidebar. Remember like last year where there was like the story about the Amazon guy who claimed that he had heard something racist out of somebody's house and then Amazon locked him out of his own home?
Yep.
Like literally locked him out of his own home. Amazon did this. until they realized that store just kind of like got swept under the rug. Everyone moved on. It's like they just admitted Amazon has the ability to lock you out of your own house, and no one thought, wait a second, wait, what?
OnStar took command of a vehicle that was stolen, drove it to the side of the road, then locked the occupant inside of the vehicle until the police arrived. Now that seems quite heroic and wonderful that you got your car back, but there's a service that can do that at any time attached to your vehicle. And as we've proven recently, these things aren't secure. They're not really well, kept behind locked box, they're not safe.
Imagine if those black hat Russian guys just happen to gain access to your car or your home.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine have to pay ransomware to Russian hackers who've locked you out of your own house.
Yeah.
Like, and nobody thinks these things through. Everyone's just like, oh yeah, but Alexa tells me who's the president of the United States, and I'm like, a little thingy
Alexa
here.
will fart for me if I ask really nice.
But hey, Alexa, can you give me the recipe to this nice seafood boil? I want to make some little potatoes and maybe a little bit of lemon. And I just didn't know, like, no one is thinking of the long-term repercussions of any of this stuff.
Before I can give you that recipe, you have to say "Hail Satan."
What are our topics?
It's like, that sounds a little bit weird.
What are our topics tonight? Satan and Alexa.
No, and one more thing, just this one more thing. If you guys remember, there was a movie called The Belko Experiment. It came out about 8 years ago. I think James Gunn either wrote it or directed it. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was essentially a movie where a bunch of people are locked in the office in like Colombia or something like that. And they all have little chips that were inserted in like the back of their necks. And they were told that the reason why they got these chips was because, hey, in case you guys are kidnapped, because, Colombia is a high kidnapping zone, we can track you and find you very, very easily. So it's kind of to your own benefit to get the chip. And then the next thing you know, they lock them in the building and they say, yeah, you guys have about 2 hours to kill half the people in the building. If you don't kill anyone, we're just going to blow people up at random. And that's literally the whole concept of the film. And my whole thing at the time was like, how would people be stupid enough? Like, why would a person put a brain chip like in your neck just to work at a shady company in Colombia? And now here we are several years later. Oh, Elon Musk, Neuralink. Yeah, you guys can walk again. You can unlock your car without keys and all of the great things you're going to do. Just put the chip in your brain and I'm pretty sure everything's going to be fine. And here we are. It's almost if they told you exactly what they were going to do, and now they're doing it, and people still have not put the pieces together. So yeah, we're doing great. We're doing absolutely great. Awesome One's joining us here as well. It says that I remove Alexa and my devices, but that is all devices already listed. Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard to completely detox because look, if you have Android, basically Google has all access to all your information and can track you at 24/7. And if you have an iPhone, Apple can do the exact same thing, right? And that's not even counting like the stuff you bring into your home, like the Alexas and the Google Eyes and like all this stuff. So it's like you're literally like selling your entire privacy quite literally to these multi-trillion-dollar corporations all over the world. And I'm just saying that they might not end up the best. It might not have the best outcome. That's all I'm going to say there. Put the chip in the brain. Kind of makes you think about the Cyberpunk 2077, where the clear glimpse into the future of biotech implanting chips with the character's brain or wrist. It's like, yeah. There's even this little thing called the mark of the beast, if it goes to your forehead and in your hand, and no one ever thinks about these things. But whatever. What were you gonna say, Cider?
Well, I was just gonna say I do say this all the time. You are living in the paragraph at the beginning of the Cyberpunk game, movie, novel that explains how the world got to this point. You are living in those 4 sentences. That's your entire existence, Chief. And this is the thing I have to remind people of, okay? The reason why we're here, even those of us who don't want to be here, is because we all have a vision of the future that's a smoldering crater. We need to start forcing our brains to see beautiful buildings, to see blue skies, to see golden sunrises instead of red sunsets.
Yep. And here we are. Like I say, it's literally the meme of the guy reading 1984. It's like, how did they ever let it get to this point while he's wearing his COVID mask reading the book? It's like, yeah, I wonder how we got here. Isn't that just all weird and funny?
Well, we'll talk about that tonight too in Brave New World.
Oh yeah, another subtle name for a movie that's coming out very soon about international geopolitics. I'm pretty sure they're not telling us anything. By the way, there was a movie called Civil War that came out earlier this year, right before they attempted to shoot the president running for the United States of America. So not only that, there was also a movie that came out earlier this year that was produced by Barack Obama, which was literally about the government causing a false flag that will essentially cause mass civil war in the United States of America, and then all the billionaires and all the rich people and all the elites went and hid in their bunkers while everyone else was up killing each other on the surface level. And it was produced by Barack Obama. It's on Netflix, just in case you guys were wondering. So
Yeah.
Sounds like The Purge.
And it's littered with all types of satanic imagery and numerology. So enjoy that.
But don't ask any questions. Just consume product and wait for more product.
Remember,
That's all you gotta do.
Tesla's the bad guys because all of their cars got clogged up on the road, and nobody liked that.
Yeah. Well, we have to make sure to throw that little soldier jab at Elon Musk while we present ourselves as the good guys. But,
Before we get too deep, did you see that rocket land? That I cried. That was beautiful. That thing is the size of the Statue of Liberty, and it landed itself midair on two forks. I don't even know how to describe that.
I feel like in the future I'm gonna have to do a Bible Once episode about the concept of space, because if I even begin to break it down for you guys here, I'm gonna sound like a crazy person. So I'm not even gonna try here tonight. I'm gonna wait for another episode here, but we'll get into that earlier. Alcimon says that Bill Gates had made a Netflix show about giving us hope. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's all about hope.
I wonder what that acronym stands for. Hell on planet Earth.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
I just pulled that out of my ass, by the way. That literally just popped into my head as it was coming out of my mouth. I did not know what P was when I started H. Okay?
You better trademark that now before somebody else steals it. So
yeah, right. That's probably a metal band from the 90s.
Well, let's get started with the show here tonight. We're going to start off with Joker, because Joker is now slated to lose $200 million after bombing horrifically in its theatrical release. This film has only been out, I think, between 3.5 weeks, and it's already going straight to digital. So this is how bad they are hurting for money, and this is really their own fault. You really have to set this up here for a second. This was a film that came out 5 years ago that was made on a $70 million budget that made $1 billion at the box office. It was fine. It didn't really require a sequel, but I can see someone, if they were actually going to try to build up the Batman universe, I could see an idea be like, hey, well, if we introduce this character and actually build up this mythos around Joker, but it's no, what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a musical with Lady Gaga. That's what we're gonna do. And everyone was like, why would you do such? Why? Then it got subtly worse, because as we all know, there was a lot of controversy around the first film. The media was telling you that anyone who goes sees that film is going to become a mass shooter and start killing people, because the Joker was gonna, MK Ultra activate people or something like that. And then the next thing you know, we had more fist fights at the Little Mermaid, and we don't want to talk about who was in the theater causing those fights, but the fights did in fact happen. And there was this whole thing about Joker, because people were identifying with Joker. People kind of understood where he was coming from, because it really was at its core a story about a man who is mentally ill, kind of a social reject, neglected by society, who at one point just snapped. And that's really what it came down to. And people saw something with the character, and like I said, it led to it being a $1 billion success. This movie that came out essentially feels like, to me, as someone who's seen the movie, Hollywood panicked because they saw who was identifying with the character. So they rushed out a sequel, made it a musical, and fundamentally the entire film is just to tear down the character of Joker and tear down the character of Arthur Fleck, because the wrong people liked it. So they decided, quite literally, not making this up, to rape and kill the Joker in front of everyone. And this is exactly how we got Joker 2, which is now on pace to lose $200 million after they tripled the budget from the first film. It was only 55 to 70 for the first one. This one was $200 million, and they'll probably be lucky to make over $200 million when it's all said and done. So we talked a little bit about this last week. There really isn't much to add here. This thing's doing terribly. I think it's now on pace, was it Venom 3, which is coming out here in a couple weeks, is on pace to absolutely smash this film. But The reviews have been absolutely negative. The word of mouth has been absolutely negative. Nobody, whether critic or audience member, likes this movie. People are only finding more and more issues with it. The studio is now throwing Todd Phillips under the bus. Todd Phillips now trying to throw the studio under the bus. It's a big pissing match. This is not what Warner Brothers needed. They didn't have to do this movie at all, and here we are. They did this to themselves. There really isn't much else to say about this, so I just wanted to go ahead and get a quick talk with you guys here. John, we'll start with you since you're the person who we haven't heard from here in several months. What is kind of your take on the Joker 2 film? Have you actually seen the movie? And if you have seen the movie, what was your thoughts on it, and basically the thoughts on this film blowing up all over theaters right now?
I saw the first Joker movie, but I didn't see the second one because they said it was a musical, and I hate musicals.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately took it off my watch list.
But what did you think? So you didn't see the second one, but so what's your thoughts kind of like on this film? What have you heard about it specifically that chased you away? Was it just the musical aspect, or have you heard some of like the bad reviews about it? And what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it was that idea of like, why make it a musical? Because it just completely changes the tone of what they were going for. And then I heard all the stories about how they more or less thought they were too big to fail because the first one made so much money. So they thought they could do anything and people would just go see the movie. And like people are realizing now with a lot of media and other stuff is we can just tell you online that it isn't good and, it will lose money.
Just real quick, this movie so far has made $166 million after being out for roughly, about 2 weeks now? 2 weeks officially. It's going to get pulled out of theaters in about a week and a half, so it's not going to have that long of a run. It's not making a lot of money, so it's probably not even going to hit the $200 million mark, which would be well below the Marvels, which, keep in mind, is in fact the lowest drawing MCU film ever. The lowest drawing ever. And then Neo Zoe has a quick question here. I think I can shoot this one over the cider just real quick. Do you think that Joker 2 takes the title from Batman and Robin as the worst Batman related film ever, or is it another Batman film that's worse? I will say this, because Todd Phillips has gone out of his way to tell everyone that this has nothing to do with Batman or the Joker. Like, these are not the characters from the DC universe that you all know. It's going to be hard to make that argument because, like I said, this isn't the Joker. Like, this isn't the Joker. Right. This isn't Harley Quinn. It's just a couple of characters who use those names in a city that just so happens to be named Gotham. That's really what it is.
It's pretty obvious that the first movie was never intended to be associated with Batman. The title, if it ever was, Joker, was entirely meant to be about a failed comedian with mental health issues that loses his mother and goes on an anarchy spree, is not really entirely aware of what he's doing. And so that was what the story was supposed to be, and it was supposed to conclude with him being shot. And that was meant to be the end of it. He was supposed to die in front of the police there, and that was the end of the original movie. I remember that being something discussed around the time with the first movie coming out. That there's a scene at the end where they kill the Joker. There's no Batman. They just shoot him right there in the middle of the street. And so I have a feeling that was the original ending for this, that was the original setup. And then they were like, no, we got to do a sequel, We can work Batman into this. We can make Joaquin Phoenix the new Jared Leto, because this is around the time when Jared Leto was catching so much heat for the weird shit he was doing in Joker. So this whole stuff was... Jared Leto was back up about the Joker again at the time this was coming out. So anyway, but the biggest thing that I noticed with this is that they told a story about this mentally deranged man, then repackaged it with the thinnest Batman layer possible, then compounded that problem rather than solving that problem in the next movie. Now, there's a meme going around of Batman forcing things up Joker's ass. It's, you don't see the things go up his butt. It's implied, like in Little Nicky, the pineapple going up Hitler's butt. So, what I laugh about that is because this movie now proved that Bruce all he had to do was fist the Joker in the ass, and there wouldn't have been he wouldn't have done that to Barbara. He wouldn't have done that to Tim. He wouldn't have done any of the stuff that he did to the people. None of that Joker gas that makes you permanently smile. Nope. Just had to fist him in the ass. He would have chilled the hell out and went back to paying his taxes.
All you have to do is just stick a big old pole up his butt, and he would have went back to normal. He wouldn't have been.
Who knew that was the off button for, mental health problems? And that really brings me back to the core of the problem, is that it's a story about a man with a mental health issue. You can Batman it up however you like, but they execute that Arthur Fleck is a mentally unstable man from the get-go. And so the movie ends with a mentally unstable man being raped. Okay? What are you doing?
By the way, so here's the thing. People have tried to defend this by saying that, well, that scene wasn't meant to apply rape. It was meant to apply that, they beat him up. Like, they just took his clothes off and gave him the old, club two with the sticks. Exactly right. But here's the thing. It's like, if that was what you were trying to sell, you did a horrific job of doing that in the film. Because one, why did you have to strip him? Like, you didn't have to strip him at all. If you just wanted to take out your billy clubs and beat the crap out of him, you could have easily done that and made the exact same point, right? Like, we would have gotten it. Okay, they beat the crap out of the Joker, right? And then not only that, but remember the scene where they throw him back into his cell and he's lying there like he just got, his booty hole diddied, and let's put it that way. And then the next thing he's not lying there like they just beat the ever-loving crap out of him. It's not like he's not he doesn't have a black eye. He's not coughing up
He's
blood.
Not knocked out.
No, he's not writhing around in pain, all sore and beat up.
Yeah,
He's just literally lying there.
Yep.
He's just literally lying there, like his entire livelihood has been destroyed, and then that was it. So if that's the point that you were trying to make, they beat him up in the shower while they stripped him naked. Again, why would they need to do any of those things? Just to say that we just beat him up really good.
I've seen clips, hat cam clip of the scene. Screw you, come get me, DC. I dare you, Warner Brothers. There won't be a judge in the land that says that was a bad idea. But anyway, so I watched the scene, and it very much carries the weight of the Shawshank Redemption scene, where the main character is being told to suck the dick of the boss prisoner, or else they're going to stab him, and he's explaining how his jaw will lock up. The lighting is it's blue. It really carries that same energy, as well as the Green Mile scene when they're walking John Henry to his death. There's so much mixed messaging in there. It is just writhing with Todd's hatred for the original audience. Like, he tried everything he could think of to make people hate this character and regret associating themselves with him.
Yep. And Leslie here asks the question, it's like, how come the mental health advocates are silent about, the abuse that Arthur Fleck had in the movie? It's because they hate him. They hate this character. This movie was made by people who hate the character of Joker. So in their mind, it's like, it's fine if you beat him up. Because,
no, Jacob. They hate this version of the Joker because people with antisocial issues liked him. They like the other Jokers, the gay Joker that they made in the most recent video game there with the Suicide Squad. They don't like the Jared Leto Joker, but they liked the Heath Ledger Joker. They liked all the other ones before. It was because the wrong people liked this Joker that they hated this one, and why they're completely silent on it. You have to remember, Leslie, nobody out there is rooting for us. The people in the seats of power have nothing to do with the common man or woman.
Yep. Orange, what's your take on this whole Joker debacle?
I refused to see it on principle alone. I liked the first one. I went to see the first one. I actually got a kick out of the old couple that watched the movie on the pre-screening night that I did. They thought they were going to see a comedy because it said Joker. When they left
some
the
people
theater,
are just dumb.
This was an older couple, like 70s, 80s couple. They left the theater. Their tires were screeching down the road because they couldn't get away so fast enough. But as for this movie, from what I'm hearing from you guys and this stuff, it seems that they decided to go in a direction that was kind of stupid. I mean, I remember all the controversy of the original movie. I mean, Todd Phillips was actually coming out. It's like, how can you guys claim that this movie is ultra violent when only 6 people die, yet John Wick is killing scores of people, and that movie is hailed? What the fuck is wrong with you people? The military went on alert because of the original Joker movie. The FBI was warning people. The news was trying to derail the movie. China forbade a release. And this movie comes out and you don't hear shit from the media or anything like that. And it's like, this is what happens when you make very poor decisions. You got $1 billion movie that this is in connection to, which was the original Joker, because that movie actually made more than Rise of Skywalker, which was insane in itself. Mm-hmm. And then you also have this movie that is supposed to be a continuation of it, and it's losing $200 million. So it makes
that's 9 figures.
It's going to have to make a person wonder, where did we go wrong? Well, first place, or the first area you went wrong, you made it a musical. I'm sorry, but just because Lady Gaga is in a fucking movie does not mean it has to be a fucking musical. If she wants to play a different type of Harley Quinn, then have her play a different type of Harley Quinn. But don't make it a fucking musical. Nobody gives a fuck if Joaquin Phoenix can sing. Everybody knows that Lady Gaga can't sing. And yet, y'all thought it was a good idea to make it a musical and to do all these horrible things to the Joker and then have an actual Joker, from what I hear, the person who becomes the real Joker in the Batman universe, what's his damn name? Jack Napier, come in and pull a Heath Ledger. And it's like, are you fucking serious? You guys are just, this movie was made with the sole intent to mock and destroy Joaquin Phoenix's character.
Mm-hmm. That won an Oscar, by the way. That won an Oscar. So this film got $1 billion and an Academy Award, and this is how they decided to repay that fan base that gave them $1 billion and an Academy Award.
There you go.
And not only
Nailed
that,
it.
people are leaving this, or from what I'm hearing from reports, people were leaving the theaters before the movie even finished. Not even halfway through, people were walking out.
Oh, you mean like legendary filmmaker Paul Schroeder, who admitted that he left 15 minutes into the film, came back, and then left 10 minutes later? That's literally what the article says here. Keep in mind, this is, for reference here, this is the guy who wrote Taxi Driver. He's the guy who wrote the movie that essentially the first first Joker movie was loosely based on, if we're being honest here. But here's what he said about the film.
It's almost a 1-for-1, man. What happened?
I tried to give him a little credit. Paul Schroeder said he went to the movie theater to watch Joker 2, only lasted around 20 minutes or so before deciding that he couldn't take it any longer. The Joker sequel, headlined by Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, has flopped at the box office. We've already talked about this. He says that I saw about 10 or 15 minutes of it while talking to Jeremy O'Harris from Interview Magazine. It's like, I left, I bought something, I came back, I saw another 10 minutes, that was enough. He walked out and said, I don't like any of those people. He added about Gaga or Phoenix. He says, I don't like them as actors. I don't like them as characters. I don't like the whole thing. I mean, those are people who, if they came to your house, you slipped in the back door.
Yeah, you just let them have the house. You just, whatever, you can shit on the floor, I'm leaving.
Yeah. So he completely buried this film, and he completely buried everyone involved with it. But Chris, just real quick, Chris here, Daily, asked the question, didn't see the movie, but heard it was part musical. What's your opinions on that? It's a terrible musical, because one is not actually a musical. It just has maybe 4 or 5 musical numbers, quote unquote, in the film. So it's not even a pure musical. And then neither Lady Gaga or Joaquin Phoenix are good at singing in the movie. So there's literally no reason for this to be a musical in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. So unless you like show tunes, like this guy over here likes show tunes, but outside of that, no, there was nothing redeemable music-wise about that film at all. First half, Joker was very dull. Can't blame him. The first half, it's like you're literally waiting on something to happen, especially considering the fact that we've already seen the first movie. We just want to go in and how's this gonna progress? And it doesn't really progress into anything. And then you realize, oh, it's not supposed to progress into anything because we're just tearing down the character. Is he box office poison? I wouldn't say go that far because I mean, like I said, the first movie did make $1 billion, so we can't call him box office poison just based on that alone. But let's be very honest. I mean, is Joaquin Phoenix a big box office draw? Probably not. I mean,
well, he's a big enough draw that people invested a movie specifically because he was going to have like gay sex scenes in it. So there's that.
I don't think that Joaquin has an acting future right now. There is an acting, like they tell you all the time, don't become the character. Heath Ledger is a really good example of embracing too much of the character. We heard stories about him taking pills because he was really just getting too much into the Joker and started like thinking about him or hearing the Joker's voice in his head. So there was a lot of like, you get too deep, too deep in the sauce, lost in the sauce. And I don't think Joaquin has a future. That he's gone too far into the method acting, into shaping his body to become a decrepit, mentally unstable man. And he's been like that for years now. You can do that once, like Christian Bale did for The Fighter. You don't do that for years on end without that becoming something that's a tick. And that's, again, you don't get that deep into the character, and he has. So I think you're going to see him vanish from Hollywood for probably about 3 or 4 years. Then he'll come back with a new look, some weight gained again, and he'll do a superhero movie, like a Judge Dredd something, something for his jawline.
Yeah, I mean, Joaquin Phoenix isn't anyone who would classify him as mentally stable either. I mean, we all know the story about him and his brother, but even when he won that Academy Award, Rick would know this, even when he won that Academy Award, was he doing some weird speech about like crying about like cow's milk or something like that?
Yes,
like, imagining?
They were, the cows were being separated from their child, and we were taking their milk. Oh. We were stealing their milk.
When I think of the priorities of a cow, I think the cow saying, "Where's my baby?" Not, "Gosh, I hope I don't turn into a burger today."
But no.
Yeah, when I'm thinking of the Joker movie, when I think of the Joker movie, I think to myself, you know what? We're abusing cows way too much in this country.
Right? Yeah. That whole dairy scene, right? With all the dairy that they dairied.
He's done other films. He did that one where wasn't he like playing a disabled person and
Napoleon?
No, he was just
no, that was a different disabled.
And then there was another movie that Rob absolutely loved. It was like where he's kind of living in some sort of fantasy world. I can't remember it. So he's done films. I don't know what he will do.
Is it Beau is Afraid? I think
Beau is Afraid. Yeah. That's the one that Rob was just crazy about. So when I didn't see it because it's like 3 hours. So
it's interesting. It's a weird movie.
I think he will make a comeback, but this is a big blow. This and then pulling out of that other movie. Those are two things that. Yes, Hider, get your mind out of the gutter.
No, I was just thinking that's the title of the movie. That's called Pulling Out.
Yep.
It's the title of the movie.
Imagine trolling an entire film production into doing like a gay biopic, a NC-17 gay biopic, and you tell them, you know what, I want to really get into the character. I want to eat a guy's ass on screen, and then literally 10 days before they start filming, back out of the project altogether, and like everyone lose their jobs.
Yeah. So those two things are going to affect his career, but I'm sure he could do like one of those prestige television shows. He could do.
I think he's got to do family stuff, Rick. To be honest, the only way. The only thing I think can work is if he goes and does a family movie that is actually legit family, not some weird twist in the middle.
Then again, I mean, let's be very.
He's the host
like
a revival of Reading Rainbow.
I mean, let's push back on this.
Funny Home Videos.
Just a little bit. It's like, do you trust this dude around children? Do you?
No, I don't. Okay. That's why he should be in a superhero movie. The most divorced thing from childhood ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably for the best, especially for that guy. So
don't put him in a Sonic movie. It's weird enough to have Keanu in it, and he doesn't have like an inflection anymore. I don't know if you noticed that. He's just, "Hi, I'm Keanu. What's up?" It's all he does now.
Cider.
It is weird.
You could put him in a Sonic commercial.
No.
Like for the restaurant.
It is weird from like one aspect that you got Jim Carrey and Keanu Reeves in a movie together, but they're not technically on screen together because Keanu's just basically like lending like his voice for the most part, and it's like, yeah, imagine putting those two like in the same film together. If Phoenix can be Metal Sonic.
I don't live inside of a disco ball or anything. I'm just so white. My camera does not know how to balance out the white from my light hitting my face, hitting the lens. So I'm not inside of a rave. There's no one taking pictures of me through the window. It's just my camera not understanding how white I am. Sorry. I keep noticing them flashing every now and then. It's really not that bright in here. It's just me.
I just thought it was like the effects of the sun and the moon up in Maine.
Where, they're around at the same time.
Yeah,
they just twirl above us. Perfect synchronicity. Yeah.
It's all the after effects of Justin Trudeau sending everything down to you guys.
Mm-hmm. Somebody asked the question. It's like, do you think that this film bombed because DC films are? I wouldn't say that, because the Joker just made $1 billion and it was a positively reviewed film. So if there was a film from DC that people would actually be looking forward to, it was going to be this film had they not did what they did with it. So I mean.
Well, and two people you didn't see the first one have a Batman movie that went pretty well. And between these, and so your idea of the Joker is still a positive thing because that movie did well for you. And so here we are,
I just wanted to comment real quick that my cousin, he told me that he went to see Joker Folie, Deux, and he told me he fell asleep. He didn't know it was a musical, so he was angry at the end, and that he didn't see
the right reaction.
He didn't see another movie for the rest of the time that he was out of town, because he was basically
it ruined movies for the weekend for him. That's great.
Yeah,
he's never gonna watch another movie ever again.
Yeah, he might watch Argyle before he watches Joker.
Ooh, wow. The only movie that I liked that Joaquin was in was Ring of Fire, the biopic of Johnny Cash. I felt like that was
good with Gladiator.
Well, I don't see him as like royalty or anything prestigious. He really was like a nutty hillbilly southerner. He did that very, very well. He had that I don't know if I'm alive or dead right now look in his eyes that Johnny Cash did when he was on all those crazy black pills. So my parents were really into Johnny Cash and really into June, so they knew the whole story, and they enjoyed the movie, and so I enjoyed it through them, as they were like, yeah, that happened. They paused the movie to tell me about it and stuff like that. So I have a really positive experience with that movie, but it is like the only Joaquin Phoenix movie that I have ever enjoyed. So that's why I say it has to do a family movie. It's the only time he's ever good is when he's not like portraying some monstrous human caricature.
Well, maybe he could pop in Paddington in Peru.
Sure. Put him in the Tintin movie. Make him gain a bunch of fucking weight. Put him on the KFC diet. Turn him into Tintin's drunk companion. And they go around and have fun.
Cider.
Oh, that's right. He's a vegan. Put him on the corn with a K.
He can get that Beyond Meat. That fake meat that they give to you. They'll probably give you cancer in 10 years. He'll eat that.
The cancer will fill him out enough for the role of the fat guy that runs around with Tintin. It'll be great.
Yep. Well, with that said, we have to jump over to another comic book movie that is doing absolutely abhorrent right now. Captain America: Brave New World, because that's a subtle title. Yeah, has failed yet another test screening. So let's rewind here for a second. This is a film that last year failed the test screening to the point where they delayed it almost a year because they needed to do 4 months of reshoots.
That's 6 new reshoots that they've done to this movie since they initially started filming it. Not announced it, filming it.
So if you take in the original budget for this film and all the money that they have put into the reshoots for this film, their current production budget for this movie is $380 million.
Before advertising.
So this film quite literally has to make $1 billion in order to see any kind of green whatsoever.
But
And
it's
the
not.
problem is, so they wasted an entire year reshooting, delaying, basically reshooting like 2/3 of the entire film, changing the enemies, changing things around just to get the exact same result that they got a year ago. This is an absolutely hilarious story. I know Disney's trying to ride the wave of Marvel and Wolverine. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine, but everything else they get associated with right now is just absolutely trash. Even this is from World of Wheel here, saying that it bombs again at another test screening. It's been 6 years since Steve Rogers handed over Captain America reigns to Sam Wilson. Well, technically, it's been 5 years, not 6 years. It says the Falcon is now the new Captain America. This is the whole Black Captain America thing that they were planning on doing from the comic books that nobody liked, by the way. So keep in mind, they've invested nearly $400 million on production alone on a character that objectively nobody likes. So great business acumen there. Disney just keep hitting the home runs. But it says 2 different cuts of the film were screened last week, and plot details for one of the cuts is leaked online. We'll talk about the leaks here in a second. But the person who attended didn't seem to like the movie much at all. Based on the folks that I've spoken to who attended, were all given a red or green bracelet and split up into 2 different theaters. The reactions that I've heard have not been kind to this movie, described as inessential and flat. So if you read the leak plot details of Blood, we'll get to the details of the spoilers here in just a second. But the reshoots happened back in August. Like I said, it took them literally like 4 months to reshoot all of this film. So they put everything together. They reshot the movie, and it still got the exact same result as it did last year. This can explain why there were 2 different cuts of the movie. Last year, after receiving negative test scores of another screening, Marvel themselves were underwhelmed by what they saw of the early cut of the film. They remember, this movie was supposed to be called New World Order. So once again, they went from New World Order to be like, okay, maybe that's too on the nose. Let's change it to Brave New World. And that's what we're going to move forward with here. So it's now being slated to be released in February of 2015. So we're still like
2025, buddy. That was 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, it's 2025. My bad. But no, we're still about 3-4 months away from that.
Yeah.
About 4 months away from that still. So who knows what's going to happen in this film?
Not enough.
Yeah, extensive reshoots with 3 major action sequences having been filmed between May and August of 2024. They basically reshot the movie. They don't want to tell you that because it sounds bad to the stockholders, but they reshot the movie and it still sucks. It originally had wrapped up filming back in 2023 in June and was slated to be released last July. So this is supposed to be released 3 months ago. And it's now been pushed back because it's been an absolute mess here. This film seems like a cinematic disaster from every step of the way. And before we get even deeper into it, I guess we can bring in this guy to talk about the stage of the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, which is just absolutely, I don't know what to say about it at this point. Before I get to you, Pete, I'm going to talk to John here because, John, you actually cosplayed as Black Captain America once upon a time. So I want to ask you this question. Is this a film that you're looking forward to?
I mean, not really, because like I said, they should have ended it with Endgame, because now everything else is just jumbled and it doesn't really make any sense, and that's why people are confused. That's why they're saying it's not essential, because it's like everybody still wants it to be connected, but they're like, what is it connecting to?
Mm-hmm. Well, keep in mind, they don't even have an Avengers team, but they're trying to build up to another Avengers movie here in a couple of years. We don't even know who the Avengers team actually is right now. And according to some of the spoilers here, it could be looking that they're trying to do the all new, all different Avengers for the movies. So they're literally just putting on screen all the characters from the comic books that nobody liked 10 years ago. And they're wondering why they're losing money. It's like, they sunk $400 million into this film already on a character that nobody likes. I mean, they tried to do this with, what's her name? Miss Marvel with the Marvels, and then that became the lowest drawing MCU film ever. So what do you think this film is going to do when it's all said and done?
More money.
Yeah, maybe more than Joker. Pete, I want to go ahead and shoot this one over with you. We'll talk about the spoilers here that was announced here in a second, but what's kind of your early thoughts on this whole thing with Captain America, I should say, failing its second screening, its second test screening
I thought
here.
it was third.
Well, here's the thing: it failed one this year, failed one last year, and I think there was one in between before they essentially confirmed that they were going to reshoot most of the film. So it's at least 2 to 3 officially that's been that they have failed up to this point.
It's interesting to consider that the movies were usually about 10 years behind of where the modern Marvel comics were. So if you think about where they started with the MCU and now where they're at, they're pulling from, for these new movies, the current comics. You can even see it with Sony's Venom. They're now adapting a story that's not even 2 years old with Null, and they got these god alien symbiotes, and there's this whole huge mythological backstory. And you think of all the problems we've had in the comics, especially with Captain America, led by Ta-Nehisi Coates, which is just dreadful. That appointment never has made any sense to me. And it's really interesting because you can see all the problems that happen in the comics, they're now happening here, where there's just a lack of quality, there's no passion, and we're seeing the same thing now in the MCU. And just as we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like, why would they do this? Why would they mess up this franchise? Why can't they see that people are dissatisfied this and not change course? I don't think I ever felt like I got a satisfactory answer for the comics. It's something that's very interesting that's happening here at the MCU. The problem is, though, comics, even in the 2010s, even if they're high at the 2010s, they're not even pulling $500 million across the entire industry. MCU, huge money, big part of what's keeping Disney's empire afloat, and they have to land this. And it's very similar because you see in Star Wars where they have so damaged that brand that I'm not sure they can bring it back. I think there is a slim chance maybe they could do it with Marvel, but I think the lessons that they would need to take away, they are refusing to take away. We're not interested in these characters. We aren't interested in these plot lines. Marvel would like it that they could just, I'm interested in the Captain America costume. You're not interested in Chris Evans' portrayal of the specific version of Captain America. You're into Captain America, the idea, right? And that's not really true because the MCU was very much a very charismatic effort. No, I want to see Chris Evans. I want to see Robert Downey Jr. I want to see, Place X here, and that's kind of why I think they were forced to, I can't even imagine how much money RDJ it just got from all these deals. But I don't know if this will work because while I think there are some signs that say, okay, maybe they're going to learn a little bit. I don't know because you look at the TV shows, and even with Agatha, it's like maybe this would be a good for like a very small audience. It makes no sense to spend that kind of money towards a mass audience, and they just do not stop doing it. So I mean, that's the $100 million. That's the $1 billion question, right? Why do you keep repeating this and you never seem to learn from it? And maybe that's something about corporate or wokeness, or I don't know. But it's really bizarre, and people are gonna go back to this like they look at like the movie business in like the 30s and like the 60s, like when everything is really chaotic and changing, and they're like, what was going on at Disney? They had everything in the bag, and then they just dropped it.
Yeah, I think most people heard you, but your mic's just a little bit low, so you turn it up there just for a second. But real quick here, it's like the problem that we're all having is that we're trying to come to a logical conclusion to why these studios are doing what they're doing, and we just have to accept the fact that there is no logic to anything that they're doing here. Like, they're purposely making bad business moves. It's like, as someone who has an associate's in the business administration, which probably means that I'm unironically more qualified than people actually working at Disney and Warner Bros. At this point, the moves that they're making with these films and the outlook, is like there's no one actually sitting in a boardroom making pitches, talking about, okay, well, how much money did this thing generate from the comic books? Because if we're going to sink $400 million into this thing, it better be a hotshot, guaranteed slam dunk property, like, I don't know, a Spider-Man. Maybe if you were doing Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man again, you can make the argument for it. But it's like, it has to be an absolute assurance that we're going to make this money back. And you're basing this all on the fact that we race swapped Captain America, and the only really scene that we've seen him in so far is from a Disney Plus show that came out 3 years ago that most people don't even remember. And if they actually did remember it, didn't even really like it to begin with, especially you got to do better, Senator, like that whole thing. That's what we're wasting $400 million on, and then put that on top of everything going on with Blade, Agatha Harkness. They're trying so hard to make it seem like anyone cares about that. They don't. It's like they're real. And then of course, like I said, we're bringing Robert Downey Jr. back because he's the only one who makes money with this franchise, and this time we're gonna have him be Dune. So imagine being a nerd and you've waited your entire life to see a proper Dune Reed Richards film, and you're gonna get Robert Downey Jr. and Pedro Pascal, and you're gonna like it because that's exactly the way that this whole thing works now. It just defies all logic and sense. Orange, I want to get your thoughts on this real quick before we talk about the spoilers.
Well, from what I've seen of the trailers and the characters, I know the Red Hulk character very well. The angrier he gets, it's not the stronger he gets. He actually gets hotter. So there's problems with the trailer itself, especially when he's revealed. They show the reveal, they tease the reveal and whatnot, and it's like, why isn't that podium bursting into flames right now? But not only that, I mean, they've tried doing this movie. They have to make approximately 800 million just to break even. They ain't doing
probably
that.
More than that. That's only if they cut a little bit off the marketing.
And everybody's like, well, we'll never know the actual budget. If they shot that movie in England at all, guess what? We will. Because England makes all of the financial records public.
Mm-hmm.
So when there's going to be a lot of movies that Disney are not going to want the budgets going out, and they're going to be revealed. And I cannot wait for that to happen. But as for this one, they should never have made it. They honestly should never have made it because they have a new Captain America that is apparently sympathetic to terrorism and tries shaming the government over perceived racism. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. That's not what Captain America is about. You don't he never sympathized with the enemy. He never shamed, well, yes, he did shame the government when they overstepped, but it's like, are you serious? Over trivial bullshit that's not even true, you're going after them? The whole reason why they even made Sam the next Captain America was not for any comic reason. I mean, people always go, well, he is in the comics. And it's like, guess what? Bucky was already set up in the MCU to be the successor of Steve Rogers. Go back to Winter Soldier. That pose where he crosses his arm like this with the shield in hand before he whips it right back at Steve in the fight that ends up revealing who it is. Yeah, that was a hint at who's going to be the next Captain America. Also, Bucky was the next Captain America after Steve was killed in the comics. And yes, eventually Falcon does become the next Captain America, but it's a long ways down the line. I don't understand why they had any sort of need to make the movie. There wasn't, except to push the Brave New World or New World Order. I call it the Brave New World Order because Brave and New were still in the fucking...
Just real quick, here's another thing. It's like, they sunk $400 million into this. They need to make money, and you already know that Disney has at least 2 months worth of, these racist online fans just can't handle a black Captain America. They must be the problem here. And you're just like, that's the playbook you're gonna run right now, where you're down $400 million in the hole. Is that really the smartest play that you have on the table right now? And you know they're gonna do it because they're Disney and they can't help themselves.
That's why they need people like us to actually be their financial advisors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, that's their obsession, that they do see, casting a black actor as Captain America. That suddenly that's their whole story. I don't know. Maybe that's what they thought. We have a black Captain America. Will be better. It will be an improvement. I can't tell you. From my perspective, as someone who doesn't really care about Marvel movies and comic book movies in general. I'm very perplexed as to why they let this movie proceed without a locked script. I keep going on about how you need to have a script. The fact that they kept reshooting and reshooting and reshooting, adding things in, shows that they didn't have an actual plot. They didn't have a story. All they had is we'll get Anthony Mackie. We'll get him to play Captain America.
We'll get box office sensation
Yes.
Anthony Mackie.
Yes.
This is playing the lead character.
And that's it. That's it. That's whole. I mean, you're trying to
Mhm.
build a whole movie around an actor that a lot of us may like, but he doesn't have the pull that maybe I guess.
I mean, I don't mean to be like demeaning, but I want to ask this question seriously. Like, is Anthony Mackie even a C-list celebrity at this point?
I've only seen him in 2 other movies. One was, actually, one was a Netflix show called Altered Carbon, and the other was The Adjustment Bureau.
Oh yeah, I remember
Those
that.
are the only other.
Don't
2 things
forget,
I've ever
he was Papa Doc in 8 Mile as well. So don't forget that.
Oh wait, he was also in the Rocket Sock and Robots movie. What was it called? Real Steel.
Real Steel.
Yeah, he was
Real
one
Steel.
of the Beck guys in Real Steel.
Yeah, and yeah, just to know when you said Papa Doc, I was like, they have a Duvalier Haiti movie. Is that like this?
Okay, more moving on from whatever he's talking about here. So here's the Captain America: Brave New World.
You're welcome, people.
So here's the spoilers in the leak. This is from someone who claims that they saw the unfinished, who was at the test screenings. They said that the video effects was unfinished, so it was like, hey, don't blame us on the video effects because they're not done yet. But what do you think about the story? And this is kind of some of the plot points here on what's actually happening in this movie. Now, some of this we kind of knew from the first cut, but then you have to remember they reshot a lot of this. So the film probably opens up with Sam going on a mission with the Serpent Society. So there was questions about whether the Serpent Society was going to get cut out of the movie altogether because we knew that Seth Rollins, WWE star, had a role in that. We still don't know if his role is intact, but there's still the Serpent Society in the film. They're supposed to lead Sam and Joaquin to the buyer of the package, which is Animanium. They're introducing Animanium in the MCU now. Juan Carlo Escondido is in the film as Sidewinder. He's the villain in the film, I take it. He has a lot of generic dialogue in the movie. It says Sam fights the Serpent Society, what's his name, Golden Fangs with knights, and gets the superhero strength. But Sam beats him when more soldiers arrive. Bad guy gets away. Sam and Joaquin is trained by Isaiah Bradley, who's followed by a training montage with Sam throwing out with a punching mat. So I guess he's doing the Captain America 1 scene where he's like throwing the punching bags and it's like trying to show that he's Captain America now. He's not just Falcon anymore. No, he can throw down just like Cap.
Just a second.
Go ahead.
You said someone gets super strength, super power, something super happy.
Yeah, so it says here that Sam fights Serpent Society dude with golden fang knives. The guy has super soldier strength, so the guy he's fighting has super soldier strength.
Okay, and then Sam beats him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Neat.
Yeah. So much for that superhero serum stuff. That stuff didn't work at all. Sam goes to the White House, obviously, talks to Harrison Ford's character. It's basically like, hey, I gotta do this trick and pony, it's like trick and pony show. Stick around to get to know you better. This is where he tried to sell him. It's like, I need you to lead the Avengers. So this is supposed to be the movie that starts up our new Avengers team because he wants Sam to be the leader of the new Avengers squad. And obviously they have a tip because he says that what if we don't see eye to eye? He's like, oh, we'll figure that out later. Then we find out the reason why Harrison Ford character became Red Hulk was because apparently he was dying. He had some kind of an unknown illness in the film, and he was essentially given something that essentially saves him from his illness. However, whenever his blood pressure gets too high, that's when he becomes the Red Hulk, and he starts, smashing things and destroying things, putting everyone in danger. So the whole thing is
Star Trek blood from Wrath of Khan that gave Kirk all those superpowers.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, the trick in the film here is that Ross has to eat lollipops as a form of medication. Like I said, I'm not sure if that's from the comics or not, but that's literally.
So they have 80-year-old Harrison Ford.
82.
82-year-old Harrison Ford just slobbering on a ring pop on like one of those Hubba Bubba pops for the. Oh wow! So you have this man lusciously sucking on a lollipop between transformations into a red, anger-fed destruction monster. Neat.
So literally the
Smart.
only thing keeping him from turning into a giant mutant death machine is a Tootsie Pop. That's literally the
An
only thing
oral
that's keeping him.
fixation, Jacob, is what really that. An oral fixation is what we call that.
Yeah.
His nickname, like Count Jocula.
Who knows? I'll say this:
Jacula, yeah.
Jacula, Count Jacula.
the Israeli girl, because that was the other controversy about this film. The Israeli girl who's supposed to be playing an Israeli character in the film. Sabra, right? Apparently, they've downplayed the Israeli aspect of her character because obviously, you know, that's going to upset the Free Palestine people. We want people to go see this movie,
Well,
so they downplayed that.
We
Obviously,
can't
Let me
upset Jenny
explain-
Ortega, okay? We can't accept.
Let me
Jenny
explain
Ortega.
a little bit about Sabra, okay? So Sabra, in her original appearance, was meant to be like the Israel version of Captain America, but she flew. That was kind of the gimmick with her; she could fly. As she went on, she became much more heavy-handed, much more violent, much more to the point. And when she was asked about why she did this, she said her enemies deserved it because they were of another belief system. And so that's what started putting her on a different path to Captain America. And they didn't quite work together too much anymore after that. They weren't adversaries, but she was more of an anti-hero, too heavy-handed. So now you bring that into a movie in this political climate. What do you think's going to happen? So I have a feeling part of these reshoots are to get Sabra out of her costume. That she is a flying flag of Israel, by the way. Okay,
yes,
But-
literally.
and so they put her in like a Power Ranger leather suit that has like the Israel blue on like her cuff link here on her cuffs of her jacket, and that's it. Like she's like a blue Power Ranger out of the uniform, you know. And
Might as well just be like Power Ranger Zeo at this point, right?
Right. She transforms into Israel. She just has a Star of David on her helmet, right?
Like I said, if you go look at the comic book pictures of her, like it's pretty. And then the other thing too is like apparently the real life actress is like borderline a midget. Like I don't even think she's like 5 feet tall, like in real life. It's like, was she really the best person to play this up? Because you're going to really have to do like some Tom Cruise magic to make her like pop in this movie, right?
Or they'll just make her a. Well, it was theorized on Twitter that she's also like girl boss, and that's not great. So they don't treat that as a good thing in the movie with her. So she's extra bossy, and nobody likes that in the movie. So
My
apparently,
question is, are they going to give Sam the fucking super soldier serum? Because I
No.
also saw a bit in the trailer where he is flying in his Falcon suit and ends up flying into a sonic or creating a sonic boom. It's like, I'm sorry, if a human does that to themselves, they're killing themselves.
No, him and the Green Falcon replacement, his little birdie buddy, they both just do that because they have face masks on, so they can just do that because face masks.
That would compress your spine and completely just kill you.
So, we have a green rage monster. You're gonna draw a line at a guy flying at supersonic speed. You see how they logic this? You see how they logic it?
When they don't
Buddy,
have the
that-
super
that-
soldier
that's a
serum,
term I've
you
not
bet
heard.
your fucking ass I am.
Yeah, what's G-Force? So it's no big deal. I'm pretty sure he can withstand it. So by the way,
Isn't
this
that
is
the hamster movie?
If it moves, I mean, how many times have I told you this? Something will happen if the plot requires it to. All right.
So here's where we get the big reveal that we're introducing Asian Hulk into the movie as well. So Amadeus Cho, who played the Asian Hulk in the all different Avengers movie, comic books that nobody liked and nobody read, he's in the film, and of course he's the smartest engineer there because every minority character they introduce is the next smartest person in the MCU until the next smartest person is introduced a couple movies later. Like we just keep doing this over and over and over again. So yeah.
Stereotypical Asian genius.
So we're phasing out Mark Ruffalo. Then we're gonna bring in Asian Hulk, who will be the new Hulk moving forward.
That
So,
might be a plus. That might be a plus. To be fair.
yeah. To be fair, I can't really
Yeah,
argue too
getting rid
much
of
against that.
Ruffalo is a plus.
Well, hold on. Mark Ruffalo has been in Jack Nothing as the Hulk, okay? Just so we're clear on that, he's been in 2 Avengers movies as the Hulk, 2.5, and
He
then
was
a
in
movie
Thor.
and a TV series.
He was in
Well,
Thor.
yeah.
He was in
Again, So, like, he's not even his own star in the movies, right? So he occupies what out of the 3,000 seconds in the Marvel movies, maybe 45 minutes in total if you clipped it all together. And so that's really scary when you think about how important the Hulk is to the Marvel mythos. That character has been just stomped.
Well,
And
I
you
know
made
we
me
could
the
have a
freaking
twist
Hulk
and
in our intro.
no, we could have a twist and Hulk, the original Hulk, comes out and it's Edward Norton. He returns.
Sure.
That
They
would
have
be
the
better
multiverse
version.
rip they have to explain
Yeah.
because Callisti, something like that, she showed up and kidnapped Doctor Strange with his third eye.
Mhm.
Which
Plot
looks terrible,
details.
by the way. I don't know if you noticed that in that. That looks awful. I don't know what CGI guy was in charge of that, but they plucked him out of 2002.
So here we get to the point where Ross finds out that he's being used as a pawn to essentially disable international relations with other countries. And then this is the scene where they use some kind of mind control sound that calls him to turn in the Red Hulk and basically expose the fact that he's been like the Red Hulk the whole time. Sam then meets with the leader of his evil plan and thinks that Sam will die because he's not Steve Rogers. So basically, the villain thinks that Sam's gonna die because you're not Steve Rogers. You're not the real Captain America. You're just the black Captain America. So we have to go through that whole thing. So Sam shows up to the scene with Red Hulk, and the two basically tear up the White House. So it's Red Hulk versus Flying Cap smashing through everything. They say there's a lot of references here to January 6th. So that's definitely gonna put more butts in seats as well. So
Hold on.
Fuck
Old
right
man
off.
president being manipulated without his knowledge, triggered in front of his people with a red, with red involved.
Yeah.
That
January
seems awfully
6th.
familiar. No. That's Biden. Old man Biden being controlled, not knowing it, and then they put the big red lights behind him to make him look super scary. Ta-da!
Biden, yeah. During his Nazi speech.
It's just funny to me that he has to keep pulling out dum-dums or else he starts crushing heads. That just makes no sense. He's like, hold on, I'm getting pissed. You give me my lollipop. You wouldn't like me if I don't have my lollipops.
So the fight ends.
It just sounds dirty.
So the fight ends with Sam stabbing Red Hulk with one of his wings, causing him to revert back to Harrison Ford because apparently he doesn't have the healing factor that Bruce Banner has when he becomes the Hulk. And they lock up Ross in a raft, and Sam tells him, "How does it feel being locked up?" And then Ross is like, "No, he made it feel him safe." At some point, Sam says to the president, "Thank you for taking accountability for your own actions and turning yourself in voluntarily." So Ross is now in prison because he's the guy.
So wait a minute. So the vice president would take over at this point?
Yes, that is
yeah.
correct.
Is the vice
Yep.
president is the vice president a black woman?
A
We don't know
lesbian
yet.
black woman.
We don't know yet.
Liv Tyler is back, and somebody made the note that she looks Botoxed up. I remember last time I've seen Liv Tyler. I can only imagine what that site looks like. But yeah,
Connolly.
Sam goes to the hospital. That he decides to visit Wakanda to get himself some new rings. The mid-credit scene is that Sam is in the rift, and apparently he sees Asian Hulk again. So we're bringing back Asian Hulk, and this is where we start getting the tease for Doctor Doom, because remember that big retcon? Because remember, this is all supposed to lead into Kane the Conqueror, and then obviously Kane the Conqueror is no longer happening. So that was obviously another big part of the reshoot. So they probably have to reshoot the entire mid-credit scene because of that as well. They said there's several stories that are no payoffs. There's no payoff to the Avengers team, so we still don't know exactly who the Avengers team is going to be even after this movie. And then, like I said, the only thing you're here to introduce is Red Hulk and Asian Hulk as well. So there's a lot of, he just goes on and lists that there's a whole bunch of plot inconsistencies with the movie too. So what
happened to Mark Ruffalo, Hulk's son? Didn't he bring that guy to a picnic?
Yeah.
At this point, it feels like She-Hulk is non-canon now, because we've made absolutely no reference to that in 2-3 years since that thing came out. So I don't even think they care anymore.
Can I ask you, just while we're on the She-Hulk thing, let's say that it's not Tatiana, let's say it's not their original creation, let's say that they lean into more of the original one, they go full Transformers 1 with the aesthetic, right? They really try to nail the original feel. And so, would that help this movie if a real deal sex appeal She-Hulk showed up in it? Would that help this?
No. No,
Okay.
What
because
up?
then you are catering to the male gaze.
Right. Okay.
Well, then cater to
You
that
caught me.
fucking gaze. You need the money.
Yeah. Well, Deadpool showed us, that
Pour yourselves out, bitches.
dancing
You
around
need
like
the
a gay
money.
guy in the forest gets you money. So you got a point there, Rick.
Yeah, She-Hulk
That's the
twerked
lesson
herself
they'll
to
take.
obscurity. Yeah, so a couple of notes here just to wrap this whole part up is like it says the Serpent Society pretty much got cut. I mean, they're really no presence here in the film. Juan Carlo Esposito is barely in the film at all, so if you're going to go see him, it's probably not much of him to look forward to as well. The whole fight with Red Hulk and Cap towards the end only lasts about 5 minutes, and he ended this whole thing by saying that this felt like something that should have probably been on Disney Plus, which is not a good takeaway for something that they spent almost $400 million production wise to produce. So this is where it currently stands with Captain America Brave New World. Like I said, this is a film that's supposed to come out in February, but after bombing yet another test screening, it's going to be very interesting to see how they patch this whole thing up before going to audiences. But right now, the word of mouth, even before we even get to this point, is pretty piss poor for Marvel. So yeah, enjoy that Deadpool Wolverine money while you can, because it looks like you're going to be losing it again in 2025.
At this point, it just looks like they've invested so much money. I don't know about energy or interest, but they've invested so much money that stopping, saying no, we're just not going to release it. Go, was it Batgirl on it? Is going to be a sign for them of defeat, and they don't want to do that. They'd rather humiliate themselves than admit that they were wrong or admit that they took several wrong turns. And again, I cannot comprehend how you could make a movie, spend 300 million or however much they've spent, and not have a script, not even a plot synopsis or an idea of where you're going to go with your story. You have to have the story ready before you go to cameras. Otherwise, you're just wasting film, wasting money, wasting time. And now with the reshoots, they should have just stopped. They should have said, you know what, we're just going to stop the whole thing and just start from scratch if we have to. But no, they've invested too much time. They just are determined to put this out there and pray that fans will rally around it when people have lost interest. Ever since Endgame, people have lost interest. They're not watching the shows, and they really don't have to. I mean, I don't want to watch a show so I could follow the plot of a movie. It's just getting too convoluted. They need to stop. They should just admit defeat, but they will not, because at a certain point, ego gets in the way, and they will just say, "No, we're going to release it. You're going to love it, and we're gonna keep going on and on and on." Yeah, it's their money.
That's pretty much it.
It's their money.
What do you think is stopping them from being able to put on the brakes? Do you think it's because Disney has so aligned this phase with politics and that whole PR push? Because almost every project Disney now does, there's some kind of racial, sexual, political angle to it. And so maybe they feel like, well, if we back out of this, everyone that's allied.
Well, here's what I actually think.
Criticize us now. It's going to criticize us.
Here's where I actually think they're at right now. They find themselves in a bind because this isn't the only project that's like falling on its face right now. We talked about Blade many times before. They're probably going to just straight up cancel Blade, right? They're just going to like throw it away or move it in another direction, right?
Like kill off the movie that has an original black.
But think about it like this. So they're going to give up on Blade. So if they do that, they can't give up on Blade and also give up on Black Captain America as well. Because on one side, obviously the wokies on the Twitter sphere are going to be like, oh, so you guys are canceling all the movie with the black characters, and they know that it's not going to be a good look for Disney if they start doing that. So they got to hold on to at least one of these things when they put it together. And even on the other side of it, from a stock price perspective, if it looks like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is falling apart, which it is, like I said, that you're looking at 2 movies that probably should be canceled, a whole bunch of other plans for movies that no one's really looking forward to, and the fact that you already had a 5-year plan with an actor that you just got rid of, and now you have to start from scratch all over again, it's going to give the implication that the MCU is in complete and utter disarray, which is going to scare the stockholders, and the price is going to plummet, right? So, as I mentioned before, because it's a publicly traded company and they care more about their stock than anything else, they have to pretend like everything is fine for the sake of the stock, even when everything is clearly not fine. So, if it means eating $400 million to keep this project going that's clearly failing, that is never going to make their money back. If you think that this film's going to make $1 billion, I don't know what to tell you at this point. It's not going to happen. And not only that, there's no good word of mouth about it. It's a character that nobody likes and nobody wants in the first place. Everything about this is a disaster, but they have to essentially, for the pro wrestling fans out there, kayfabe everyone into thinking that everyone's fine, because if they do, then they're going to lose even more money than the $400 million they already sunk into this. And this is just where we are.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. They managed to destroy Joker. They took a very popular, well-liked, well-received film, and they destroyed it. I mean, that was Warner Brothers. And now they're taking a project that people are having less and less interest in, and then now they're going to sink it further down. This is not going to turn out well. Once the movie's actually released, you're not going to get the fan base, or at least a large fan base, dressing up, making this an event film like the others have been in the past. You're going to see people have very little interest. You're going to have very little interest. So it's all going to go down, and the less and less movies and TV shows, the better. I mean, they really should just end it, even though it means we'll never get to see Harry Styles in another Marvel movie. I know it's a terrible disappointment.
Yeah.
So then, what are the Marvel Disney projects that have a chance of turning out well? I think Daredevil Born Again might be the only one.
No.
I can't think of anything else.
I don't
because remember, me and Cider have been covering this for a while. They shot originally 9 episodes of Daredevil and then scrapped the entire thing and had to reshoot everything from scratch because they didn't like the creative direction of that show too. So that's another disaster that not too many people have talked about, but it's a disaster
Jacob,
behind the scenes.
You forget Echo. Echo had like what, 8 or 10 episodes, and then they reduced it to like
to 5. That
Right.
were good.
Like,
Back
how
at
many people watched
Daredevil,
it?
though.
12?
Yeah, well, and the people that tuned in here for Echo Mania, that was vastly more entertaining. Don't forget, it'll undo your sins, okay? Only the Indian lady crossing her fingers over your face can undo your sins. But anyway, the situation with Daredevil is that they scrapped those episodes, but then they brought in trans actors and then kept Foggy and the love interest, I've forgotten her name. The lady character, lady lawyer, lady support. She was originally supposed to die in the first few episodes or something like that, and Foggy too.
Yep.
And they were going to be replaced. Now they left them in, but now they brought in trans characters to fill in the characters that were supposed to replace Foggy and the love interest. So at this point, even John Bernthal was going to walk off the reshoot, the new thing that they were doing now. But I guess Charlie Cox talked him into staying because Charlie went to the show and he's like, I can't do this without John. And so they were like, we got to make this work for John. And so it's like more Punisher than Daredevil at this point. So.
And remember, they were originally going to do like 18 episodes because what they wanted to do is that they wanted to shoot essentially, they were going to break it down into seasons. They wanted to hit like 1 and 2 like back to back in like a short period of time. But because they failed so hard with the first half of it, now they're just going to do one because they literally can't afford the two more now what they already shot.
And his random fight scene with Echo was supposed to be like interwoven into Born Again, into these episodes. So whatever previously existed in the Born Again original concept that's been scrapped has a whole storyline explaining why he goes and beats the pants off Echo. That's phrased wrong. I forgot.
Yeah, she's a lesbian, possibly.
Okay, there we go. That's better. So there, yeah. Triple
so
fight.
so there's real quick here. So you're looking at, okay, what does Marvel actually have coming up that we're supposed to look forward to? The Daredevil show, that's a mess. You have Ironheart that was actually shot like 2 years ago, but because of the reaction to it was like so negative, they just left it on the shelf. So it's basically in the same spot as the Agatha show that just got released in the last couple of weeks here. So we got the Captain America movie is a disaster. You have Thunderbolts, which is essentially their version of Suicide Squad with, anti-heroes, quote unquote. And then looking
AI
forward,
art posters.
yeah. And then looking forward, you have the Fantastic Four movie that's coming out in 2025. Blade, which is definitely going to get pushed back again. If it doesn't come out in 2026, it's not coming out at all. And then you have the Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. And then outside of that, you have a bunch of rumored Disney Plus shows that haven't actually been confirmed 100% or not. So Disney is somehow trying to figure out a way to keep this whole thing afloat to get to Secret Wars, so you can get to this superhero team up where they bring back everyone from the Fox era of Disney to anyone who's ever been in any Marvel movie ever. They're gonna put into that thing. The Punishers. They're gonna have like a whole bunch of things. They're gonna get that guy who played Captain America with the motorcycle helmet if they can. Like that's basically what they're gonna try to do here. And I don't know if we're ever even going to get to that plan ever being realized, because everything outside of that is a complete another mess. And that's the MCU for you.
Almost a sense of panic, just total panic, where they figure just keep throwing more and more money, throwing more and more projects, throwing more and more ideas, and see if something sticks. What they need is a firm hand and an actual producer. And I don't think that Kevin Feige, and I don't know who thought that this man deserved an honorary Oscar for producing all of this. I don't think he is the person to do it. He's obviously not. I don't know who. There's no one minding the store. This is really a case of the inmates running the asylum, because no one is in charge. No one is in charge, and the people who are on the board are not controlling the people in charge at Marvel. They're just letting them do everything, and instead of stepping in and saying, "You guys cannot control yourselves. You cannot make a cohesive plan. You all are out," they're saying, "No, keep taking our money, keep making these projects, no, that nobody's watching, nobody cares about, and let's see if eventually the odds are in our favor and we will strike gold somewhere." They just keep digging and digging and digging, hoping that they'll strike it rich somewhere. It's something, because they think that the odds are going to eventually turn on to them. It's not working, and the more they sink the money, eventually I would like to see the stockholders openly revolt and say, "You all need to go. You're not going to lose my pension."
Happen.
Well,
But real quick here, I want to get Pete's last words, and then we'll jump over to another similar topic in the MCU. But is there anything to look forward to at this point with Marvel?
I mean, I guess that believes if you think they could right the ship or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have RDJ, Fantastic Four. I mean, there is potential that there are properties they could potentially make a thing. And part of me almost wants to say, you know what, just skip all this. Just go straight to Secret War. Just pretend all this never happened. Just erase everything from like the Doctor Strange movie on. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, no, Pete, I think you're right. I think you're right, Peter, because the more I think about this, because I do the Cider Predicts things, and what I'm getting from like all the information I've been able to piece together about this is I honestly believe if they don't kill Sam at the end of this movie, he will not be able to perform as Captain America going forward. He'll have something happen to him where he is unable to retain the title or the purpose, the job, whatever. He gets like, buckied or whatever because he doesn't have the powers. They're stressing that he doesn't have the super soldier abilities. Nobody's bothered to inject him with anything. He's obviously not going to say anything negative about that because of the vax situation. So the whole thing is going to continue to revolve right into Doomsday. And I think you're right. I think you're going to have a Tony Stark, which again, they've told us this Doom is not Victor. This Doom is a different Doom. So I don't think we're going to get Dr. Doom on this. I think he's going to self-assign him Doom because he's forcibly restarting the universe. And so at the end of Doomsday, boom, reset happens. Secret Wars is in the middle of the defrag. That's what they're going to position Secret Wars as the universe coalescing into Doomstark's vision. And it's like almost there, and that's where Secret Wars is going to happen. When all the universes are all squished together into that weird spitball about to be shot in the middle of the Beyonder's face.
I think that, if the MCU really wanted to ride this ship, they should have unloaded take all the money you were going to give to Robert Downey Jr. give to Tom Cruise. That was probably the only way you could have saved this thing at this point.
Tom Cruise is superior Iron Man.
Yeah. him or Doom or something. But I mean, it's just like it just seems like they're just desperate at this point.
The fan favorite was Mads Mikkelsen to play Doom. Everybody,
but they've already used him a couple
idea.
of times in the MCU though, so that's the problem, is that they've already gone through that well at this point.
But even so, they're obviously not going to do this, but I think Peter's right that they're going to reset it at Doomsday, and that Secret Wars is going to be the middle part before Doom's vision is completed. So I think you're right that they are going to do that, because Captain America doesn't give them an option. They knew this wasn't going to work when they test screened it. They just wanted to see how bad the damage was. They're in too deep to fix it now. You can't get Mackie back. They've delayed it twice already. So they can't put it. They missed a McDonald's deal on this already, and that's not cheap. They had all those crazy toys go out and no media backing it whatsoever. Nobody knew who the extra green Falcon guy was. Nobody explained that. The commercials couldn't because it spoiled the movie. So it was a huge mess. So they can't do it anymore. So Doomsday is obviously going to be used to be like, guys, we heard it. We heard you loud and clear. We're going to Sonic the movie this. Don't you worry. Here comes Robert Downey. You like Robert Downey Jr.? Yes, you do. Well, he's got a green cape and a vendetta now. Here we go. And that's what they're going to do. They're just going to dazzle you with a bunch of...
He's the bad guy now.
Right. You're going to see America Chavez show up. She'll probably be aligned with him. She'll come in, she'll open up the universes for him.
I forgot she was even in this thing too. You just mentioned her just
and
now.
He'll be like, I'll bring your moms back. I'll get you reunited. We'll put all the people we love together in one world where no one ever suffers again. And that'll be his whole angle. You can already see what they're going to do here. They're going to make him like the daddy of the new Marvel Universe because he was the daddy of the first Marvel Universe.
Oh, great. All we need them to do is to say it was all a dream.
Sure. And he wakes up holding baby Morgan in his arms, and Thanos is his husband that impregnated him. It'd be great.
Well, real quick, I was going to give John a quick little shout out there because he did have to step out there for a moment, but he had to drop by. So thank you, John, for joining us here tonight. And I do want to, use this to jump to another MCU related story, kind of sort of. Simu Liu, who may still be involved with the MCU as Shang-Chi, because apparently you guys liked Shang-Chi or not. It was maybe it was gaslighting. But he was on a Canadian TV show that went viral. So everyone has seen Shark Tank, right? So everyone knows what Shark Tank is. Like some entrepreneur goes there with their invention or their product and they try to get somebody to buy it, right? That's kind of the whole concept of the show. There's a Canadian equivalent to that in CBC called Dragon's Den. So you have this guy, this would-be inventor who was trying to essentially earn investment money for his product. And Simu Liu was one of the, guest who was on this show. So you had a guy came here talking about, hey, this is my brand of boba tea, selling his whole thing, talking about, hey, this is what I want to do with like my brand and whatnot. And of course, the Canadian, by the way, can I just do a sidebar rant on Canada here for a second? Canada has rapidly become my least favorite country in the entire world. Like, if I had to choose between Canada and Saudi Arabia, I would really, really have to think of what has Canada actually done for me or society lately if I had to make that choice. Yes, they're worse than North Korea. I would much rather visit North Korea at this point than I'd rather do with Canada. But this guy, keep in mind, he's dealing with an investor basically trying to sell his beverage. That's all he's trying to do. And of course, he decides to go on a woke meltdown and slam the guy because he was culturally appropriating boba tea. So here's the clip that's been going around on social media here. I just want you to watch this full cringe in its entirety here. This is Spencer's favorite actor in the whole wide world. So here we go.
I am studying your can, and I am looking for anything that tells me where boba came from. And where boba came from is Taiwan. I started this venture company for a lot of reasons, but really primarily to uplift minority entrepreneurs. And not only do I feel like this is not happening here, but that I would be uplifting a business that is profiting off of something that feels so dear to my cultural heritage. I want to be a part of bringing boba to the masses, but not like this. So for that reason, I'm out.
Thanks.
Respect that.
Respect that.
Makes me sad.
So here's the thing, right? So he went on this whole for reasons of cultural appropriation, I can't support your business because I don't want to do things like this. Even like the fellow investor like talks to her, it's like that's not necessarily like their fault. And look at the douchey, scummy reaction to this as she tries to correct him. Now watch this part.
How successful this business is. It makes me sad that people are, they're
Why?
drinking boba with the raccoon with the sun.
It doesn't mean that they don't have the opportunity to change and do that.
That's true, but
It
there has to
doesn't
be a
mean-
willingness, and I have to be able to invest in these founders knowing that,
Right,
that
but they
change is
didn't.
possible.
They didn't say no. The collaboration that they've had to this point is with their supplier in Taiwan. And if nobody else has told them that before, you can't put that all on them.
What just absolute shit.
What a
bag.
piece of shit.
Look at his face there. It's like, oh, okay, like.
I'm
So this
going
was
to tell G on you, and you're not going to have a country. You understand me, Canadian woman?
So just an absolute scumbag, shitbag move. And then here's the worst part: because it's Canada. Because it's Canada. You know what happened here? The business apologized after he called them out. They're the ones who apologized here. So here's a story from Breitbart. Like the tea company that's in Canada caved to the Marvel star after he accused them of culturally appropriating its version of the Taiwanese drink. Liu made the accusation during their Canadian reality show, Dragon's Den. Obviously, I told you the concept here of the show. The boba tea company of Quebec, so there was a Montreal-based company, appeared on the show and noted that their goal was to disturb and transform the bubble tea market to make the beverage a convenient and healthier experience, according to the BBC. But the actor obviously got triggered because the can didn't say Taiwan on there. He couldn't support something like that. So he found the pitch to be quote unquote racist by taking an Asian product and claiming that the company won by white Westerners. Oh yeah, those white Quebecers in Montreal. I wish Destructor was on this show right now because he would go on like a 10-minute tangent on the entire region of Quebec if he was here, but he's not here right now.
Quebec.
Yeah, that nation. He says that I'm concerned with the idea of, well, yeah, we already talked about his stupid comments. I want to get to the apology here. The owner, Sebastian, yeah, I don't speak douchey French. Is a reply to the recipes were made by their partners in Taiwan. Liu took a pass on the lending the company money and invest in their products. The troubles continue for the tea company as its owners are now apologizing for the backlash of their cultural appropriation hit them online in the episode aired in Canada. Simu Liu raised a very valid point regarding cultural appropriation. No, he didn't. And we welcome this learning opportunity. The company said in a public statement. The company went to fall on its sword and said that we will reevaluate its commitment to giving credit to the cultural heritage of its product to ensure that they reflect the respectful. And you know what I want to do now as a spite? I might just go ahead and do this. I want to start an American bubble tea company where I don't give anyone credit but America. My mascot is literally going to be Kid Rock wearing a American flag wife beater. It's going to be nothing but America. I'm not going to give nobody credit. No, whatsoever. The whole thing is going to be called America Tea. Made in America. Originated from America. That's what I'm going to do now. Out of spite. Out of pure, unadulterated...
Jacob, you want to hurt their feelings? Call it Bubba's Boba.
Bubba's Boba. That's what we're going with.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I want to make I don't even drink this crap, and I now want to make a rival company out of pure unadulterated spite for this nonsense. But this is what he wrote here. It's like, oh, we didn't mean to cause harm to anyone in the blah 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 community. It's like, you know what I would have said? Kiss my ass. That's what I want to say. I would have said, kiss my ass. This is absolute just raging douchebag of a human being. Oh my god. Who do I want to start with here? Pete, you're still kind of new here. What's your take on this?
Most Canadian move ever. The company that got attacked for appropriation is the one that apologized. I can't think of anything possibly more Canadian.
Well,
it's ridiculous because I'm like, what business experience does Simu Liu bring here? And yeah, it's crickets. Yeah, I don't know either. It's ridiculous. I think this is also silly because the Canadians are silly. But from the health side, I know that boba tea has been a big problem for a lot of people that watch GI specialists, because a lot of people will eat old boba, and often these things are, especially when they get older, they get really hard. They do not dissolve easily in the stomach, and so there's all these times that you can find tons of photos across social media, people who have had boba tea, and they come in and they get a checkup, or they X-ray. Oh, look, there's a little boba just sitting right there. Sitting right there, not moving anywhere, not where it should be. So that the boba tea is, I guess, culturally appropriate. It doesn't really bother me all that much, though. I do remember about a year or two back when it started getting big, the African American community said they owned it. So I don't know when it got passed around, or how do you authenticate who first came up with boba tea? But I think it's just all silly.
Well,
that's a whole other can of worms.
That
right
was
there.
taken. Those who said that it was originally from black people. That was a part of the cultural. That was part of reparations.
What say you, Mr. American Ambassador? Fuck Canada! Fuck you, buddy!
Well,
he is so smug, though, right? Simu Liu?
Yes.
Has anyone seen Kim's Convenience?
No.
Nope.
Oh, it's a good show. In that show, he basically plays this smug, butthead kind of older brother character.
So
that's
basically, he
always
plays
getting in
himself.
trouble. Yes, it's crazy. It's like it's
You
true
know.
in real life.
Well, there is one thing about this bubble tea company, and I'll be honest, I've never even heard of what this is. I didn't know what bubble tea is, like tiny bubbles. All I could imagine is the company is doing a good Chinese tradition here of the struggle session, where they will be the ones to accept responsibility and admit their shame and admit how horrible they are. There are some things that I'm curious about. Simu Liu, does he support Taiwanese independence?
No.
Because theoretically, Taiwan is not actually even recognized as an independent sovereign state. It's still.
And he's a Chinese actor too. Like, he's originally born from China. He's born in China, but he lives in Canada. So he's one of those type of things. And yeah, China would not view favorably anyone trying to recognize Taiwan as an actual country separate from China.
Yeah, I mean, remember what happened to John Cena when he referred to Taiwan as a country, and he had to go through a struggle session and beg forgiveness also.
Bing chilling.
What?
Bing chilling.
I don't know what that is.
It's Mandarin, dum-dum.
Neither did John Cena, just so you know.
Ni Hao Kai Lin. That's all I know. Ni Hao Kai Lin. And The Last Supper is a great movie. I would just say that if he doesn't want to, I'm probably a minority in a certain point. If he does not want to invest money in this, that's fine. The reason that he doesn't want to invest money in this, it's again, I agree with that lady. It's not their fault. They're trying to make a business. They work with their supplier in Taiwan. The Taiwanese supplier never once said, hey, you need to tell people that this is from Taiwan and this is an Asian product. So really, Simu Liu is just trying to impose his own view on this to these people.
I'll simplify it like this: he is a pompous ass clown. That's probably the simplest way.
He's a fucking racist. Let's just call it for what it is. He's a fucking racist.
Yeah, I mean that too. But even worse than being a racist, he's Canadian. So I mean, yeah.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, he didn't want to fucking legitimize this company because, one, it is in Taiwan. He's a fucking racist. Two, the fucking couple was white, so he sees it as the ultimate insult because of cultural fucking appropriation. The man is a piece of fucking shit. Simu Liu torched that group or torched that fucking couple's business venture simply because he felt it was the ultimate insult because of cultural appropriation being the worst fucking sin in the politically correct mind.
But it's not
imagine
even
this.
appropriation.
Bullshit.
It's not
Any
even
other
cultural
fucking reason
appropriation.
is fucked up, man.
It's not
Imagine
cultural
this. Hold on a second.
reasons.
Hold on a second. Imagine this. Imagine working your entire life for an opportunity to get on a show to talk to real, actual investors to sell like this whole beverage. Like, yeah, look at our can. Here's our mascot. This is what we're gonna do. And your dream gets shut down by a smug douchebag, C-list Hollywood actor who's only known because he was in one Marvel movie that came out during COVID, and he got personally butthurt because you're white, you have a boba tea product, so he shut down your entire dream. Then you have to go back out, and you have to fucking apologize to him, like somehow you were the one who did something wrong. You sneaking little crap.
Fucking called
That's
them
not
out right
even
on the
cultural
damn show. It's like,
appropriation.
dude, that's kind of coming, or you're fucking coming at us because we're white, and this is my ultimate, or this is. I would have just fucking called him out right then and there.
You know what I would have done? I would
fucking care.
I would have done the same thing that black dude did when he jumped over the bench for that judge. Just grabbed his neck.
I mean, it's like, no, man.
Look,
You got your PC mind is the only reason why you are taking our company, a white couple's company who's working with Taiwan, and your Chinese heritage. You don't, or it's very well known that the Chinese don't like the Taiwanese because that's where the People's Republic of China and their main political party had to go to because, well, we all know China's communist now. But yeah, we all know the freaking relations with Taiwanese. You gave it up as soon as you said, yeah, this is from Taiwan and shit. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't really invest. And then his fucking smug attitude afterward when he got called out by a co-host. Fuck that man.
All right. Well, look, cultural appropriation is when you take something from one culture
was no
and
cultural
try.
appropriation.
That's what I'm trying to say, Orange. All right, that's what I'm trying to say. Cultural appropriation is when you take the cultural element of one culture and try to say it's your own. That's not the case here. There was no cultural appropriation. They were not saying that this was this was their idea to begin with. Cultural appropriation is if you're trying to do something and pass it off as your own. This is no different than that poor girl who wore a beautiful Asian-inspired gown to a prom and then got trashed by someone who said, your culture is not my dress or whatever. Is that I don't see any cultural appropriation here. And again, a little off the subject, brings me back when I went to the Royals game. It was May 5th. Was the only Mexican surrounded by white and black people wearing the sombreros in the South Office. I didn't see it as cultural appropriation. I thought they looked silly in their outfits, but I knew they weren't doing it to insult me. Same thing, this company or these people in this company were not doing it to insult Simu Liu and to insult the Chinese community or to insult Taiwanese community. They were doing it because they wanted a business and they wanted to bring Boba Fett, boba tea or whatever it's called to a wider market, which is a good thing. I mean, I'm sorry, that's not cultural appropriation. So I don't understand if he didn't want to invest, say, you know what, it's not for me. And that's the end of it. You don't have to drag them through, drag the mud and worse, have them apologize. But this is Canada. Canada is a country that the Canadians feel a sense of, we have to keep begging forgiveness. That's why they're burning down churches, because of things that never happened to the native community there.
Yeah, is this cultural appropriation?
就是假如西呢，我必须说，现在在《速度与激情》中，我做很多采访，很多，所以在一个采访，我有一个错误，所有人问我，如果我可以用中文，速度与激情有人给我很多资讯 information， 所以很多采访，很多 information， 我有一个错误，我必须说现在就是很重要，我爱更尊重中国更。
He literally sounds like someone has a gun, like on the other side of the camera.
You never know. Maybe Chairman Mao is his ghost is there threatening
Every time
him.
this man tries saluting the Marines and the military is a fucking slap in the face to the U.S. after what he did that day.
Yeah,
I think that John Cena is pure fucking scum, and I will never respect him after he dehumanized a nation of people.
that was like the first stage of his humiliation ritual, and now they had him out there naked on the Oscars, and it's like, yeah, it's just been all downhill.
And then then when he wore that dress, was it in Stevie Nicki?
Yeah, it's Ricky Stenicki or some nonsense
Whatever.
like that.
Yeah. So Yeah, well, I think he should have just said, "Look, it's not for me," and just left it at that, instead of telling them, "Oh, you're horrible people for bringing boba bubbles to whatever." I never even heard of this. I would not drink it. I don't even drink Arizona tea. So I don't know why they're all bent out of shape over this.
This is so ridiculous. But we got one more story to talk about here after talking about that just absolute dirtbag of a human being. Anna Kasparian. This story I just absolutely admire, because anyone who's really been paying attention has probably seen this coming for a while. Anna Kasparian has been slowly coming off of her Democrat progressive ideology tent that she spent like 20 years of her professional career building, and she's now realized that she no longer has a home with the party that she's been championing for so many years. She made the announcement last weekend that she's officially left the Democrat Party, and it's a long time coming, but she goes on to explain exactly what led to her change of heart and why she no longer identifies as a Democrat and feels like she no longer has a place in, let's just call it the uber progressive left, because she's still technically a leftist. I mean, she's still on the Young Turks and stuff like that, so she's still going to be shilling for left-wing policies, but here's where she feels like she no longer has a home in the Democrat Party with a lot of her leftist friends, and it was a reaction to something very, very awful, traumatizing that happened to her in her home in Los Angeles and in LA. I want you guys to follow along with this story here, because this is someone who's essentially suffering the consequences of the very policies that they themselves have supported for many, many years until it reared its ugly head. And I'm not talking about the one on your shoulders. Let's go ahead and talk about this story right here.
In 2022, it was around March. I was walking my dog. It was not quite dark yet, but the sun was setting. As I'm walking my dog, I see these two guys that were just kind of like moving around weirdly. They seem kind of manic. And
oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, she's on the podcast with Julia Michaels. We mentioned Julia Michaels a few months ago because she's another person who no longer identifies with the left because, she's gay and she has like adopted, biracial kids and stuff like that. But it's like, oh no, she has common sense. She doesn't think that people should just be 400 pounds to be proud of it. And she doesn't agree with certain policies to the left. So she ended up moving away from them too. So that's why she's on this podcast, but I'll continue.
Their clothes were tattered. So I knew that they were probably homeless. And I also knew that they're probably on something just based on like the twitchy way they were acting. But living in LA, I mean, there's homeless people everywhere, right? So I've never had problems. I didn't think anything of it. But as I was bending down to pick up my dog's mess, one of the guys like grabs me by my hips, and he had an erection. Oh God. And just starts like humping me. And I didn't know what to do. Like I was terrified. I didn't have a weapon on me. Yep. Like I had no way of defending myself. I didn't know how far it was going to go because it's two guys. I'm by myself.
Imagine if you had like open carry in California. Imagine how some of these problems could. Oh, okay, I'm being mean. I'm just gonna continue
with my little dog. It was one of the most terrifying things ever, because I'm pretty good at defending myself. In that moment, I just knew there was no option.
No way.
Yeah. And luckily, he stopped, and they just laughed at me and walked away as they were laughing at me. And so there was the fear, and then the humiliation, and weirdly shame. Like I felt ashamed for some reason, and it was awful. And it was really taking a toll on my mental health because I have to walk my dog, right? So at least 2 or 3 times a day, I'm going outside kind of scared. And so I opened.
Just in case you're not following along, she got dry humped by a homeless man, and then she came to the realization that her home in Los Angeles is no longer safe. This is going to be a very, very important talking point here later on here, but let's continue with the rest of the video.
Opened up about this on the show, not really thinking much of it, and before I know it, I'm starting to get these messages, and it's like really, really harsh stuff, and it's about how you are painting a picture of the homeless community. How could you be like this? These are your unhoused neighbors and they need help. a few people accused me of being racist when I had never disclosed the race of the individuals who did this to me. And in fact, they were white. And so like when they started accusing me of being racist, I'm like, wait a minute. Why are you assuming that the people who did this?
Of course.
Yeah, like I think you might have a problem here.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that woke me up. That woke me up because I'm like, oh my God.
They eat their own.
Oh my God. Are we the baddies? Are we the baddies?
And not in the fun way, in the bad way.
Yeah. Not that. Oh, are we the bad? But no, we're the bad people. Like we're being the. So here's the thing with Anna Kasparian here. Like I said, this isn't much as a surprise. She's been kind of going this way here for at least the last couple of years now. But here's the reality of what's happening with her. Right? She's in LA, so she's in a state that votes the way that she votes, that thinks the way that she thinks. She's in Los Angeles, one of the most progressive cities in the entire country. Probably New York and San Francisco are the only more progressive nation. Maybe somewhere like Seattle, Portland there, but talk about uber progressive policies. You can't get no better than Los Angeles. She's in a group of her peers. She's basically surrounded by everyone who, in her ideal way of thinking, like this is utopia for her, right? And due to essentially the very policies that she has recommended, that she has fought for quite literally 2 decades, Los Angeles has now become a crap hole, which is no longer safe, underrun with the homeless, and then something very traumatizing happened to her. Now, I'm not laughing at the fact that something traumatizing happened to her, because it's like, yeah, you got humped by a homeless guy with a boner. That kind of sucks. I think we can all agree with that. However, do you not get the point that, 4 years ago when we were having this huge debate about, hey, defund the police. There's too many police out there killing people like George Floyd. We need to defund them and move the cops away. They shouldn't have so many funny. Why are there so many police everywhere? Could it possibly have helped your situation if there were a few more officers in the city of Los Angeles? Keep in mind, this was literally what a lot of celebrities, 2 years ago, were arguing over, that, hey, Los Angeles is increasingly becoming more dangerous. It's not really safe here anymore. They wanted to vote for a new mayor who wasn't as quote-unquote progressive on crime as the other people they vote for. I don't think it worked out for them, but people were very, very much spending the last 2 to 4 years pointing this out. Do you know who was on the opposite side of that? That whole debate, Anna Kasparian and the Young Turks, who were all making the case that, oh no, you guys are the problem, you guys are the racists. It's like there's so many old videos that you can prop up from her over the last several years where she's literally arguing against the very thing that now all of a sudden it took a literal sexual assault for her to flip the switch and be like, oh yeah, no, wait, I'm wrong, and this is the people around me are not good people, and wait, maybe I've been wrong this entire time. So there is a second part of this that I want to play, but I want to get your immediate reaction here. I want to start with Orange Hat on this topic here. What is your thoughts on Anna Kasparian's story and the fact that she no longer wants to be associated with the Democrats anymore?
Well, you do reap what you sow. First off, that is my immediate reaction. Also, the fact that you felt shame. Maybe the reason why you felt shame was because you were the one who voted for the policies that led to that sort of situation to happen in California. And unfortunately, you became a statistic of that result. Now, I am not saying you deserved it. Not at all. Nobody deserves that sort of action against them. But I am saying your voting record shows support of the policies that led to it. Cause and effect. I hate the fact that a woman is sexually assaulted. I am completely against any sort of sexual assault, as I guess, or as I am guessing everyone here is also. But she made her fucking bed when she voted for all this dumb shit to turn California in a shithole. And the only reason, as you said, Jacob, this shit happened to her, and now she's against it because it fucking happened to her. But also, she doesn't deserve to be attacked for actually being a freaking victim of sexual assault. I do not believe anybody should be ridiculed for it. I do not believe anybody should be threatened over it or canceled over it. This woman was attacked and assaulted. She does not deserve backlash because she reported it or commented on it and talked about it. But I do not have much sympathy for her in the regards of the fact that she actually voted for the measures of this shit happening. So that, yes, I agree. Or as Kabuto says in the chat, I don't have empathy for a person who created the situation for it to happen. I mean, it's good that she's finally waking up, but
my thing is that it shouldn't have taken this for you to kind of flip the switch and be like, oh yeah, maybe I was wrong. It's sad that it had to come to this, but at the same time, like I said, I don't think that we've really reached a part, because it's not just Anna, right? Because like I said, we talked about Julian here a few months ago. Bill Maher is another guy who's really been leading this train over the last several months, where they're trying to make a distinction from their left-wing progressive policies and the left-wing progressive policies of the more militant side of their party, right? And they're trying, it's basically a civil war happening very subtly between these two groups, because you have one group who's obviously the more militant side, who thinks that they're not going far enough, while the other group, like people like Anna and Julian and Bill, who think that, well, these people have gone too far. But what their group doesn't understand is that you guys have been the one empowering these people for the last several years, which has led them to this point. Now there's a friction point, because in their eyes, you're not far enough to the left enough, right? And I can go back to so many videos that I've seen from Anna Kasparian over the last 2 decades, where, for example, she was celebrating at one fact that, hey, America is becoming less and less Christian, and we're becoming more and more atheist and agnostic. And in her mind, in her estimation here, it was like, well, if we become less Christian, then we're going to become more smarter, and we're not going to have to deal with all the problems that come from, the evangelical right. And in her mind, she thought that it was a good thing. Now, keep in mind, if you look at a city like Los Angeles, where she lives, that whole thing has been fleeting rapidly. Why? Because a lot of people are fleeing the country. Not the country, the state, I should say. And where are a lot of those people going? The ones who realize, okay, California isn't for me anymore. Where do they go? Austin, Texas, because that's the closest thing to California in Texas as you're going to get is Austin, and everybody knows it, right? My thing is like, okay, you can admit that you're wrong. You can admit that, okay, hey, things take too far. Can you admit that you were probably likely a huge part of the problem to how we got to this point to begin with? Because this is my biggest problem with Bill Maher. Bill Maher acts like that the radical left kind of sprouted and went its own way on its own. He has no idea how we got to this point. It's like, you were the one that empowered them. You led these people to this point until we got to a point where either they turned on you or you kind of switched away from them. But it was like, you were right there neck and neck with them until we hit to some kind of point where he was like, well, I have a disagreement on this issue, and then all of a sudden they came swarming at you. This is what happens with a lot of people, and I talked about this last Saturday with MSK's channel too. It was like, I think with me, I wasn't like a big lefty like some of these people were. I lived in San Diego. Obviously, there are a few of them out there. But where my disagreement point was when 2015 happened, you had the terrorist attacks that were in Paris at the time period. And this is when they were trying to push the whole, let's bring in all these refugees from Syria into the country. And I was like, well, wait a second. I can see what's happening in like Europe. Europe's complaining about the fact that they can't vet these people. They can't trace these people. We don't really know who these people are and where they're from. So it's like, well, let's not just bring everyone in until we exactly know who we're bringing it in. That was a very, very unpopular opinion at that time period, because Trump was the one saying that he was going to cut off immigration from the Middle East. That was being called the Muslim ban at the time. So if you weren't 100% all in on immigration, you were viewed as someone who was supporting Trump's Muslim ban. That's the way that it was in 2016. And just because you differed on that one issue, I had people who straight up would not talk to me ever again simply because I disagreed on that one issue. Not because I went full on like Reagan Republican for like the 1980s, which is the fact I did not agree that we should be bringing people in from this specific region during a time of war. Because I mean, let's be honest, it's still a time of war happening right now, just not as purported on. But what a lot of these people keep finding out is that one issue, and there's that one issue where you differ with them, they will immediately turn on you, and you sit there and go, well, hey, I was on your side for all this time, why are you guys coming at me? And then you realize, oh yeah, they were the bad people the whole time. So it's like, can you admit that maybe you were probably the bad person this whole time? Can you admit probably you were part of this problem? Can we get to that point of this conversation? Now, Anna is going to stay with the Young Turks for whatever the time being is. We don't know how this is going to progress over the next next several months to several years. But I hope that she's now starting to think twice about a lot of the policies that she has been endorsing on her show, because quite literally they've come back to bite her in the ass in the worst way possible. Peter, I want to start off, or continue here with you. What's your take on Anna Kasparian, being a fellow member of the media yourself?
I would say first, good for her. I mean, it's a terrible event, but she's willing to admit that maybe she had some things wrong and she wants to work through them. I think a big problem is that we live in a very where the puritanic elements of our culture are very strong, and we suffer from something that other places like Taiwan do not, is that we have luxury beliefs. Luxury beliefs, for those who are unaware, are beliefs, systems, ideas that those who are well-to-do, so those who are in the upper classes, have about living life that would be best, that they can afford because they have the wealth and distinction that they can afford it, but overwhelmingly hurt the middle income, especially the lower classes. A great example of this is divorce. Divorce was very popular with the upper classes. They wanted to make society more open to divorce. Unfortunately, that came down hardest on the more poor people, because when you have lots of wealth, you have lots of options. Getting divorced is that big of a deal. You can get a care, you can get a, you can do a lot of things. If you're a lower income person, you split that family in half. That can have huge impacts, even just the financial day to day. And I think it's a big case of that. I think it's the problem is that there are a lot of people who are pushing us to make decisions that don't have to live in the real world. And people just kind of go along with it. And when they have that moment where the glass breaks and they hit reality, it shatters. And I guess you either have to try then to gas yourself and try to make you think, oh no, I'm the wrong one here. Or you have to be honest and say, okay, well, if this is wrong, what else? I see this all the time when I'm doing health and disability issues. I'll use the opioid crisis, which I report on for a lot. Constantly, when I meet a lot of people, and I was always told there's an opioid crisis. All these people are getting addicted to these pain pills. But my mom, who now has cancer, is in the hospital, and she's not only getting maybe Tylenol 3, she needs something like morphine, but she's getting nothing even close. Well, I thought we were the good ones. We're not addicts. We're the good people. Why are we being punished? And it's that sort of thing. It's like, well, I just thought all the bad people were the conservatives, and they're just wrong in all this, and we, the progs, are right. So I do think this is overwhelmingly a good thing. I would say, though, that it'll be interesting to see how she goes going forward, because there is a very strong pull to kind of go back to where you were to fit in. It exists on the right in some degree, but it's way stronger on the left, and it's crazy strong in the media. You guys would not believe the group think. I mean, maybe you could, but the group think push in the media is so strong, especially right now, because everyone is so desperate to get jobs and to stay with the group so that they don't lose work. Yep. And because everyone's being fired, let off left and right, it's so strong right now that you should just go along with every single thing. So I'll see what happens. Maybe she can keep to it. Cenk has already kind of gone through some of this, so maybe that's why she can't at the Young Turks. But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, good for her for now, but we'll see. We'll have to see if she continues her path, learning more about reality, or if she goes back to her old ways.
Cider, I want to shoot this one over with you. I want to reiterate here before. It's not just the fact that, okay, that they're turning a new leaf or not. My issue is that, they're coming to a realization that there's certainly a problem here. I think the problem with their assertion is that, oh, well, it's not that, my policies were bad or my position was bad. It's that the party essentially shifted away from me. And at some point, you kind of have to take a step back and be like, okay, well, I supported this a few years ago, then this happened, then I was leading the charge on this, then this happened. And it's like I said, they haven't truly had the "are we the baddies" moment realization yet. They still think that somehow it's the more radical fringe of their group that has kind of ruined things for them, not understanding that you were part of that radical fringe. That's why we're here in the first place.
To be completely honest with you, Anna really should be leaving that whole space. Regardless if it's safe for her or not, she doesn't feel safe there. And so to answer your question, that is what I have to say about it, is that she is now aware that it is an unsafe place. So staying there is inviting more trouble again. And while you can hum and haw about that not being fair and that not being what she deserves in life, this is where it's at today. That doesn't matter how you feel about it. It doesn't matter if she deserves that. That's how it is right now. And she needs to be away from a place where she doesn't feel safe. That's the reality of it. If that means going to the Ozarks, if that means going to the top of the Rockies, she has to go where she's safe. That's the story, you know. And the longer you stay there and participate in that, the more it's going to erode on your human soul. And this is, moreover, the conversation that we're having is that Anna has now realized there's a problem in the world. How deep that problem goes, we're not sure. She understands that her space is not a space that she feels safe in anymore. To what we've heard so far, she has not identified that she's voting for Trump. She's not identified that she's going to be personally building her section of the wall. She's not identified that she's going to be personally building homeless shelters. She's not identified that she'll be running for office to make sure that these people can't do what they did to her again. She's not even said that she's carrying mace. So I don't think she's got it. I think she had a really nasty experience, and what she thinks is awakening to the problem is where Bill Maher is, where he's surrounded himself by all these millennials and Zoomers that speak communist to him, and he's just slowly realized that they're not just the cool kids, and he's a cool older guy hanging out with these cool kids, and he's so cool, you know. Now he's realized these are communists. These are color revolutionaries that run his enterprises now, that put words on a teleprompter for him to read, that are in his audience laughing at his jokes. I think he's mortally afraid. Now, I don't think Anna's there yet, but she's just started down that Bill Maher road of like, whoa, everybody's a communist that I hang out with. Everybody's rowing Mao. Did they forget that they murdered people during the color revolution? You know, and, that she's just starting to pick up that there's a problem. So no, I don't think Anna will pursue this. I think Peter's right that she's going to get pulled right back down into it, because women are even more pressured for social conformity. It's even more intense for men. And he was describing that his experience as a man is already very intense. And a lot of people don't try to force a man to take an idea. They try to blackmail him into it. But Peter's talking about being in a pressure tank where everybody around you thinks that way, and they have to think that way to hold their job. That's an entirely different scenario. You have a gun to your head that's painted bright blue and says, I can't breathe down the barrel, okay? And that's right there in your head every day as a journalist. Every day in media even. We have it here on YouTube. We have that right here. And that's what you're dealing with. So Anna's going to get sucked right back into it because fame is more important. She's demonstrated that all along, going along with this narrative. If she's so aware of it now, why wasn't she aware of it 2 years ago? It's not like being dry humped suddenly made her alert to the fact that these people are around. She said she grew up with the homeless around. Yep. What changed it for her is that she was not safe from it any longer. That's all that's different in her mind, is that she's not safe. That's the only threshold she's crossed.
And keep in mind here, I want you to remember this too. Remember Dave Rubin left the Young Turks several years ago after he went to the libertarian side of things, right? And you know who was one of the people who attacked Dave for leaving SHIP and mingling with the right-wingers? It was Anna. And Anna, early on, was very, very against Dave Rubin leaving the SHIP and, going to the other side. And now it's weird because now she kind of sees herself in the same situation where she's starting to appear on more right-wing media outlets. I know she was on the Daily Wire not too long ago, and now she's doing Julia Michaels. So she finds herself in the exact same pivot point that Dave probably was several years ago. And now hopefully she comes to realize that, yeah, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do to attack him, because now you're in the exact same situation. And she's in where she is now because she's been such a pillar of that Young Turks program for the last 20 years now. She can't just go full on Daily Wire, Breitbart, that whole side of things. So she's in this 1 foot in, 1 foot out, where she's she doesn't want to completely alienate her progressive side of things either. So she can't fully embrace the policies that she knows is working against her to begin with. So it's probably going to be a lot of disingenuous 1 foot in, 1 foot out with her for a while. It's going to be interesting to see where the pivot point is, to the point where people completely turn on her. And there's already been people on her side of the progressive aisle that have completely turned on her. And Jake Uger, of all people, have had to come out and defend Anna, saying that any of you progressive weirdos trying to attack her, like, you're the problem, go F yourself. So even with the very little bit that she has said, based on that story and a couple of other things, they're already turning on her. And it's like, at one point, you're going to realize that these are your people.
I have, I think, a kinder idea about people than you do, Jacob. I don't think that it's that she wants to still curry fame and be in with the in crowd. It's more as her thinking, these have been my core beliefs. These are the things that I have believed all of these years, and now it is affecting me in a very personal and sad physical way. And so now I have to start perhaps having what do you call them, the come to Jesus moments, where I have to reason out whether I may actually be wrong. And sometimes just admitting that you're wrong to yourself and certainly to others, especially those who have been cheering you on all of these years, is a very difficult thing. It's not, I don't think, well, again, I have a kinder view about people in general. I don't think it's her thinking, oh well, I'm going to I'm going to lose the popularity with the Young Turks. Believe me, converts to anything can get greater fame or respect if they go over to the opposite side. Certainly, people who were like, what do you call them, the ex-evangelicals, these evangelical leaders who suddenly become atheists, agnostics, they're carrying favor. And you mentioned people like Dave Rubin, who was on the left, and now he's on probably the center or center right. So she could probably get bookings on like the Daily Wire and other right leaning programs. So I don't think it's that. I think it's her thinking, hey, all these years where I thought the homeless were homeless because of capitalism and the economy, and it had nothing to do with mental health issues, it had nothing to do with addiction. Maybe I was wrong. All these times that I was talking about white privilege, these homeless people were white and they assaulted me. It's a terrible thing. I mean, I've been assaulted, not physically. I mean, not in that way, but I have been assaulted at work by someone who I'm presuming was homeless and who had mental health issues. So it's that. I think it's that. Maybe she just had a very, like, I want to think, romantic idea of the homeless. They're just victims, economic victims. Not, these are people who have mental health issues, people who have drug addictions. And real quick, one of the reasons I've never believed in the idea of quote white privilege is because, having worked at a downtown library, I see many people not exercising that white privilege when they come to the library, very disheveled, very messed up, and physically, emotionally, and every other way possible. So no, I don't believe in white privilege. But this is her maybe starting to think, all the ideas that I had, all the beliefs that I had, maybe they're wrong. And maybe I need to think about how this is actually working. So that's my take on it. Not so much that, she doesn't want to be famous anymore. She'll still be famous, even though I don't know who she really was, who she is. Except I think she was on that video where people were laughing as Trump was winning over Mama Hillary, and they were all having meltdowns.
Yeah, the infamous Anna meltdown video where she was basically saying that, yeah, I'm better than you, and all the whole thing.
I think it's the only real knowledge I have of her. I don't watch the Young Turks or anything like that. But now, if maybe she's thinking that this is her ideas may be wrong or at least misguided, hey, I'll give you a popular name. Was it Thomas Sowell? He was someone on the left, and he became the ultimate in the right wing thinking. Anything's possible. Maybe she'll start shifting a little. But I know I hate, and just for the record, I hate that this happened to her. I hate that this would happen to anyone. No one should have some random homeless person thrust his erection on you. It's just no. It's horrifying. But it's like
So,
death. It's like Death Wish.
Real quick, I want to play this video before we head out of here because this is Dave Rubin. We're replying to essentially the video, or I guess reacting to the video that we just saw here at Kasparian. Keep in mind, like, these two have a history as well, and Anna was not too kind to him when he left several years back. So this is what he had to say.
All right, so I'll try not to make it personal here. I mean, many of the things she's being accused of by those crazy people are the same exact things she's accused me of, but let's just leave that for a moment. I am always very enthused when someone wakes up. And it's interesting that it takes something so personal, like, say, a drug-addicted homeless guy with a boner attacking you, that will get people to wake up. So I would say that that is a net good. And now really it's just about entropy to realize that the rest of the worldview is incorrect. Fair, Knowles?
Very fair. Back in the day, during the first wave of the neocons, now we have kind of the later stage neocons who are far inferior to the early ones. Initially, though, neocon just meant a new conservative, someone who had been a liberal or even a Trotskyite, even a communist, and then became a conservative. And why? They said, because a neocon is one who has been mugged by reality. And in the case of Anna Kasparian, she was truly almost mugged and actually sexually molested, and it could have gotten even worse than that. So that really happened to her, and she's explaining that reality, and her comrades are saying, don't you dare talk about reality. Reality is really bad for our argument. It makes us look bad, and it knocks down our fantasies. So she is, I don't know, she's probably not a conservative now. She's probably not a right winger, but she's starting to see, wow, there's a problem on the left. And so I agree with you, Dave. She said all sorts of nasty things about me too. It's okay. It's all right. Don't worry. There before the grace of God go all of us. Just keep going. That's my advice to all of these people. All of the Bobby Kennedy Democrats who are now supporting Trump. Just keep going. Recognize that the errors of leftism don't stop with the homeless should probably not rape you on the street, and that's it. There are deeper errors. I think about you, Dave. I mean, I've seen your evolution pretty close up. You were a serious left winger, and when you switched, you became a little bit more, say, classically liberal or something. You said there's something wrong with the left here. But I predicted at the time, I hate to say I told you so.
You did. It's on video
you're going to end up more right-wing than any of us. I mean, you're going to be like Attila the Hun. And what? You have become more conservative. And why is that? Why? You know why? It's because you're following your ideas, you're pursuing ideas honestly, and you're following your ideas to their logical conclusions. Ideas have a kind of natural logic to them. And so you've been honest with yourself, and you said, okay, well, actually, I'm going to move a little further to the right. Actually, yeah, maybe here, I'm going to support it.
Like I said, it'll be very interesting to point here. I think Osman brings up a good point. It's like, they always vote for policies in the cities that never affect the neighborhoods that they live in. But then when it does begin to creep up to their neighborhoods, that's when they start shifting their policies publicly. And like I said, it's not until it happens to you that you realize that everything that you've been saying for the last several years is completely dead wrong. Like I said, sucks that it happened to her the way that it did. But, like I said, hopefully this is the first step of realizing that, this is probably not the best way forward for you, put it that way. And like I said, I'm definitely not going to sit here and be like I'm on the Dave Rubin fan show club or anything like that. I'm just noting that they have a very clear similar path that both of them have taken. I find it very, very interesting that now Anna's in the exact same boat that Dave was in several years ago when she viciously attacked him. So like I said, if a little bit more repentance would be great on some of these issues, and then we can move forward all together. But final thoughts on this topic before we get the hell out of here and go home now. So I'll make them short, Rick.
Extend grace when you make a mistake, or when you think that you've made a wrong direction, taken a wrong direction.
Fair enough. Pete, any of you guys got last words here?
No, I agree with Rick. I think the only way we as people can grow, and the only way our culture can get out of these policy cul-de-sacs we find ourselves in, is to allow people to apologize or repent and change their mind. And that seems to be a hard thing. And so we can't really fix ourselves or make things better if we don't allow people to change.
Yep, and that's it. That's where we're going to end right here and wrap up the show. So, yep, we had a pretty good conversation on a lot of things we delved deep into, but now it's time to sign off, and everyone's time to go home and get out of here. So we'll go ahead and talk to this guy over here in the void. Maybe he has something he wants to tell everyone. Orange Hat, what are you working on?
Well, I'm back on theme streams. Last week I had a family vacation, and now doing theme streams on Tuesdays again. I just got done doing the werewolf one. Next week is demon horror, horror with demonic entities. The final 2 Wednesdays and Fridays instead of Thursdays this month, me and Mara are doing 1s and 2s as well as the singles. 1s and 2s are Insidious on her channel, Jade Shadow at 8:30, and Fridays 8:30 on X exclusively will be The Exorcist, the version you never seen, as well as Nightmare Before Christmas. And then Fridays is Orange Hat Uncensored. Well, when I'm not doing those episodes, that is. As well as Sundays, the weekly recap and movie discussion. So yeah, that's what I got. I'm also trying to reach 2,000 subs before the end of the year. I'm close to 1,600 right now. Any help in that area is greatly appreciated. If I do get to 2,000 before the end of the year, I will do a giveaway on my channel. So, yep. And yeah, that's what I got going on.
Yeah,
Thanks
one of
for
these
having me.
days I'm gonna have to make it on your what is it, that Monday rant show that you do. Or yeah, one of these days I have to make time to get it when I'm not having the movie that I have to screen that night. So we'll work on making that work in the future.
All right.
Rick.
All right. Well, I'm still going through my Mummy retrospective, where I will review 4 versions of it. I've done 1932, 1959. Upcoming is 1999 and 2017 versions. I'm also starting a new retrospective series. This one built around The Wizard of Oz, as I figure I'll have to watch Wicked. I'm not looking forward to it, but I think I have to. So I'll be reviewing the 1939 version, but also the 1925 silent version, the sequel Return to Oz, and L. Frank Baum biopic Dreamer of Oz. So watch for that, and then more reviews. I've got a review for Average Joe, Saturday Night, and other things that I've seen from this year and past years. So that's pretty much it. I hope you like the Mummy retrospective and the upcoming Oz retrospective that I have for November. Thank you.
All right, Cider.
I run the Bounding into Comics YouTube channel, so please feel free to stop by and check out what we're talking about over there, especially tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. We are going to be starting up the 01 stream at 8 o'clock on Eastern Standard Time, where Nerdigans and I talk about weeb stuff for about an hour. And then Jacob and Spencer, I think Spencer, he might be on the move, so he might not be with us tomorrow evening. If you're still in the chat, let me know, but if not, that's perfectly fine too. And at 9 o'clock, we switch over to the official 01 stream and talk about more gaming and more anime, but also Hollywood stuff and more pop culture-y American stuff as well. So feel free to tune into that. And as always, good luck out there.
All right, Pete. Good to see you again. By the way, you weren't here earlier, so that's why I didn't ask you. I never asked you, what did you think about you being in the intro as Thor?
I think I'd make a very good Thor. You know, I am part Norwegian, so that would be an accurate racial casting.
We actually have you as Thor and Chuck Norris in our intro, so we might have had a little too much Pete in the intro. That's would you agree with that?
No, 2 times Pete, 2 times the party.
Chuck Norris.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. What you got coming up?
Yeah. I'm still doing the Wonderful Culture Scape. We just did an interview with Elio Garcia, who is the co-writer with George R. R. Martin and his personal friend. We talked about Game of Thrones, or as the us book readers like to prefer, A Song of Ice and Fire. That was really interesting. There's a write-up about the bigger, more newsy points on Bounding into Comics. I just coming up on the show, I just interviewed tonight Ruben Langdon, who is, among other things, he's the voice actor that plays Dante in Devil May Cry. That was really interesting, so that's upcoming. I think the next episode I have is with Christopher Flynn, who was one of the main producers on Attack of the Show on G4 TV. That thing is, I think it could be like 3 hours long. But if you had more undying questions about what's going on with G4 TV, there you go. No, it's a fun show. I'm grateful to do it. Thanks for letting me come on tonight. I always enjoy my time here on the Barroom Podcast.
G4 TV, that's still a thing, or is it like
No, but people are still fascinated with the original and with the perished remake.
Yeah, like I said, we did one on G4 Tech TV. That was like 2005. I'll probably have to recycle that one here in the near future, but no, that's a future thing that we can work on another time. Till then, letting you guys know what we got coming up here on the show. This coming Friday, there will be a Friday Night Movie Club. We're going to be reviewing the 2 movies on Friday night. We're going to be reviewing Saturday Night, which is obviously the film about the origin of Saturday Night Live, and we'll be reviewing the film Goodrich, which is the latest Michael Keaton movie. We'll be doing that Friday night at 10 p.m., so there will be a Friday night show there, so check us out for that. This coming Sunday, we'll be doing the next episode of The Bible Lens. And on The Bible Lens on Sunday, we're talking about a very, very controversial topic, and probably one that's going to get me in a lot of trouble. We're going to talk about, are modern churches failing single men, or they're hostile to single men? We'll talk about that on Sunday. Then, of course, next week, Tuesday, I should be back here. I got to go to a dentist tomorrow to make sure I don't need a root canal, but I'm probably going to end up needing a root canal. So I have to work that one into my schedule as well, too. So that's going to be fun and great for everyone involved. But that's everything that I got coming up. Check us out tomorrow night on the 01 podcast, myself, Cider, and Nerdigans as well. To everyone who joined us here on the show, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks to John for joining us here earlier on the show as well. Everyone from the chat who was here on our Rumble side, on our YouTube side, thank you very much. But we're going to go ahead and cycle on out of here and hear our outro. So here's all the list of names of people that I want to thank that I can't name because I'm not going to remember them all. So good night, goodbye, adios.
Okay. Oh. Making your way through the daily grind takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to tune away? All those nights when you're feeling low, the rent is overdue, and your coffee maker's broken, your luck just seems to skew, and your boss is always on your case. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed and you feel the dread. The morning's looking bleak, and your internet is down again. You haven't slept all week, and your car just broke down on the way. Be glad there's a place online where you can feel at ease. In the Barroom Podcast, friends, we share our thoughts and tease. Every story shared, every laugh so free. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. So here's to the moments we all hold dear. In this barroom of the airwaves with friends so near. Every story shared, every heartfelt cheer. It's more than just a podcast, it's where we steer.
I still don't feel like I know how to shoot these things.